Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we step into the shadowed world of Syerin Cayde, a master assassin marked by fate and hunted by legends. When a cursed sigil blazes into her skin, ancient powers stir and forgotten gods whisper from beneath the earth. Thrust into a deadly tournament among nobles and nightmares, Syerin must hide her secret, or burn for it. In a world where every glance could betray and every heartbeat could bind, will destiny crown her or consume her? Stay with us, because this is where war, blood, and forbidden power collide. For the first time, I might not make it. I can see the clock tower in the distance, its hour hand creeping mercilessly toward 12. Shit. I force my legs to move faster, leaping across the rooftops like the devils on my heels. The severed head in my satchel slams into my thigh as I run, an annoying, rotting pendulum reminding me what's at stake. If that clock strikes 12, it won't be this bastard's head they'll get. It'll be mine. I never had parents, never had a family, never needed one. The wastes taught me the only lesson worth learning: survive or be nothing. I've been living on the edge since I was a kid, offering the same deal to every client. I'll kill your person by your designated time in exchange for money. I bring you their head. But if I fail, you get mine instead. High stakes, sure, but in the wastes, it's the only way to live. Centuries ago, a brutal war split the world in two, the gleaming realm of Syerin for the gifted, the noble, the Sire, and the rest of us, exiled to the scarred, rotting earth they call the wastes, simply because we did not possess the abilities, the form. They call us the fail. 25 seconds. The clock tower looms closer, its stone face mocking me. 25 seconds. The entryway, usually barred shut, sits open, waiting like an executioner's grin. 20 seconds. Fuck. My heart's pounding so hard it feels like it might claw its way out of my ribs. Not after everything I've survived, not now. Not the night before my 24th. 10 seconds. I drop from the balcony, catch the slick iron pole, slide down and hit the marble tiles in a crouch. Breath ragged, head still attached. Barely. I was starting to think you wouldn't make it, marker. I smirk, wiping blood and sweat from my brow as I adjust my hood. Hate to disappoint. Since I was old enough to wield a blade, I made damn sure the world remembered my name. Even Syerin. They call me the marker. An assassin whose blade doesn't just find its mark, it owns it. Whose promise isn't a threat, it's a death sentence. I've had many bounties out for me in the wastes and in Syerin. I've been hunted since I made my first kill. Even Sire sentinels who like to roam the wastes and remind us of our misery have tried hunting me. Tried. No one ever catches me. You know me, I add, my voice low, almost bored. When have I ever failed to deliver? Syerin Cayde watches me with that shark grin, all gold teeth and empty threats. A thick-necked brute who's still breathing purely because he makes other people die first. His men hover behind him, eyes like flat stones. I drop the satchel at his feet. The head tumbles out, skin already pale and waxy. Another trophy for a man who survives on the reputation of other people's blood. Money, I demand, holding out a hand, palm up. He drops a heavy sack of solars into it, coins clinking together like tiny promises of tomorrow. Smiling, I tuck the pouch inside my cloak. I watch as Helty's men poke at the severed head, checking for marks for tricks. Satisfied. He nods, his grin exposing even more gold teeth. You never disappoint, Marker. Shame you don't work exclusively for me. Exclusivity doesn't pay, I retort, already turning to leave. I've spent enough time in his presence, and staying around people like him always invites trouble. Careful out there, he calls after me. The wastes are hungry tonight. I don't bother to answer. My boots tap over the cold stone, each step sinking me deeper into the night. The cold air bites at my skin, but it's nothing compared to the chill running up my spine. I don't know if it's the job or the way Helty said it, like he knew something I didn't, but I'm on edge. The wastes are always hungry. Tonight, though, they feel starving. The city's streets are quieter than usual, and that's saying something. Here, the streets are never empty. Always something to listen for, someone to keep an eye on. But tonight, the usual hustle and bustle has dulled. My gut twists. Up. I climb, hands numb against cold iron, pulling myself onto the rooftops. My lungs burn, legs screaming, but I keep going. The faded red roof of home comes into view, and my heart stutters with relief. I'm almost there, just a little further. Sliding down the final ledge, I pause at the door. The small building that I've grown to call home is right before me, but I don't go inside. Instead, I wait. I listen. And I watch. There's no sound, no movement. Nothing but wind curling through alleyways. I slip inside, the battered door clicking shut behind me. The warm air of my home surrounds me from all sides as I set my weapons down on the table. I hear a pair of light footsteps running quickly, and before I know it, I'm being thrown backwards by the weight of a child wrapped around my waist. Gods, she's grown. Hey, Kaylee, I murmur, ruffling her hair. Miss me that much? The 12-year-old nods against me, her tiny hands finding the dagger at my belt. Kaylin was only 3 when the world chewed her up and spat her onto these streets. I took her in because I saw the same searing, feral fire in her eyes that used to burn in mine. Maybe still does. I took her in and have been training her since. How'd your delivery go? She asks, voice calm, too calm for 12. She knows what I do to keep us fed, knows it doesn't end with a clean cut. And while decapitating heads for a living is a scary thought, she's not a little bit unnerved by it. It makes me smile. Barely made it, I admit, pressing the pouch of coins into her hands. But look what we got. Her eyes light up, and she shrieks as she pours out the money. This has to be at least 500 solars. Kaylee clambers onto the rickety stool, legs swinging. Anyone try to double-cross you? Not tonight, I say, cracking eggs into a battered pan. But Helty's got that look again, like he plans on it. I make myself a cup of hot chocolate before cooking some eggs and passing a plate over to Kaylee. She chats away, stabbing at the eggs as soon as they're done. A big appetite, bigger spirit. Every bite she takes feels like a middle finger to the gods who left us here. She's recounting her day, how she'd practiced with the dagger I gave her, how she spotted some fail boys fighting over scraps in the alleys, and how she wisely avoided them. You'd be proud, she tells me proudly between mouthfuls. I didn't intervene this time. That's good, I reply, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. Intervening only works when you're sure you'll win. And even then, sometimes it's better to stay out of it. She nods, humming away thoughtfully. I sip my hot chocolate, steam curling into the air, and for a breath, just one, the tension in my shoulders melts away. Outside, the wastes rot and burn, but in this broken little house, Kaylee's chatter wraps around me like armor. The little girl has given me something to live for, and without her, I wouldn't be the person I am today. A ruthless, merciless bitch. Then comes a knock at the door. My cup hits the table. My hand slides to my daggers, another to the gun tucked under my belt. Kaylee freezes, fork hovering midair, wide-eyed but steady. I press a finger to my lips. She nods once, vanishing into the hollow I carved for her beneath the floorboards, exactly for moments like this. The knock comes again, harder this time. A deep voice calls through the wood. We need to talk. I recognize the voice. Ashar Furin, Velen's hound. Talzar Velen, crime boss, exile from the gilded halls of Syerin. I worked for Velen a while ago. He raised me until I was 18. Taught me the trade, taught me survival, but he taught me debt, too. Blood debts. The kind you never really repay. Ashar's loyal, but only as far as Velen's coin could take him. If he's here, it's not for anything good. I don't answer. Open up, he calls. We're not here to fight. His tone says otherwise. I step aside from the doorway, just out of view. Funny, I call back, voice low. Doesn't sound friendly to me. Velen wants you back at the Black Den, he says. Says it's urgent. Tolly has always been a father figure to me, but still he used me. I got dragged into a bunch of shit and nearly lost my life battling with things he should have been dealing with. I severed all ties with the Black Den when I left and told him not to ever contact me again. But still, Tolly never has urgent business. My heart pounds, my brain swimming with a bunch of possibilities that something might have gone wrong. I flick my wrist, sliding the second blade hidden in my sleeve into my palm. If they were stupid enough to come here, they're not leaving unscathed. You've got one chance, I tell him. Walk away, or don't bother walking at all. The door rattles as something hits it. They're not leaving. Kaylee peeks out, clutching the dagger she took from me. I shake my head. She freezes again before disappearing. The first hit comes. The second hit cracks the wood. On the third, it breaks apart. Ashar steps through, 2 men behind him, and it takes everything in me not to roll my eyes. You're a fucking headache, I growl, blades up, shoulders squared. And you're still gorgeous, he throws back, mouth twitching as I snarl at him. Tolly warned me you'd be difficult. He should have told you to stay the fuck out of my house. He takes a step closer. My pulse kicks up. Come closer, I warn. See what happens. Ashar's laugh is low, tired. Still the same, sigh. He steps forward anyway. Tolly's orders. He adds softer. For half a second, it's like the years melt off. It's just us, the mess of what we used to be, standing between two breaths. Then I remember why I'm angry. Tully's orders don't mean shit to me anymore. I snap, my grip tightening on the daggers. You should have known better than to show up here. I move first, blade out, cutting for his shoulder. He blocks, hand catching my wrist, twisting until pain sparks bright under my skin. But I'm not some fragile little thing. I twist into it, elbow slamming into his ribs, knocking the breath out of him. His hand fists in my shirt, dragging me forward. I kick his knee out from under him. We crash into the table, shit scattering everywhere. Wood splinters under us. You never make this easy, he growls, voice rough. Fuck easy, I spit back, lips curling into a snarl. His hand comes up, grabs the back of my neck, rough, calloused palm against my skin. His mouth crashes into mine, and for a breath everything else burns away. It's messy, hard tongue sliding against mine, our history coming crashing back in an instant. My hand drags through his hair, tugging rough, and he groans low in his chest. His palm skims my waist, thumb pressing into bare skin, heat curling low in my belly. I grind forward once, just enough to feel the hard line of him under leathers. His hips jerk up, breath catching against my mouth. You're still a pain in the ass. I rasp, voice shaky, lips brushing his. And you love it, he shoots back, words warm against my skin. Then I shove him back, breathing hard, stepping away. I've never loved anyone. Ashar won't be the first. He's just a pretty asshole who knows how to make a girl feel just right, tip her over the edge. He's been my getaway for the stress, the pain, everything to do with my life. All the shit. But that's where it ends. Later, I bite out. We're not doing this now. He stands slowly, his gaze never leaving mine. You still haven't learned to trust me, have you? He asks softly. I don't trust anyone. I stand up, adjusting my clothes. And you're on cleanup, I snap, flicking my wrists. My daggers flash. The two men behind him drop, blood pooling on the floor. Ashar wipes his mouth, chest heaving, that stupid grin still there. Damn it, Sy, he mutters. My eyes dart to the floor, the compartment where Kaylin is hiding. No one knows I've taken her in, and she knows well enough to not come out until there is either only me or no one. I tap my boot softly 3 times, our code for I'll be back soon. She taps the hatch once. Okay. I smile, then look back towards Ashar. Don't make me regret this, I mutter, bending down to grab a few things from the men's pockets. Solars, weapons, and a few vials of what I assume is poison. You will, Ashar says, voice dry. Come on. I sigh, taking one last glance at Kaylee through the creaks, and run out back into the night. We dart around the back corner into the stables, the door creaking open softly. I find my horse, Sail, instantly, my fingers brushing across her midnight black coat. I untie the reins, walking her out before mounting, waiting for Ashar, and then we're moving. Velen's pissed, Ashar says after a while, his voice low. He wants to talk, says it's more than business. This time it's personal. I don't look back, but I feel his gaze burning into the back of my neck. I know Velen, And I know when he says personal, it's never a good sign. I don't give a shit what he wants, I add, voice colder than the wind cutting past us. You know I'm done with the black den. I don't owe him anything. He laughs softly, the sound grating against my nerves. You think it's that simple. You think you can just walk away from everything Tolly gave you. My teeth grit. Anger sparks hot under my ribs, old guilt twisting with it. He's not wrong, but it doesn't matter. I don't owe him shit, I mutter, more to myself than to him. We ride in silence for a while, the rhythm of Sale's hooves on the cobblestone streets the only sound accompanying us. My mind runs circles. Kaylee, the den, everything I built to keep her out of this life. Finally, I break the quiet. I'll see what he wants, I say, but don't think for a second I'm crawling back. Ashar doesn't answer, but I feel his eyes on me. I don't need to see his face to know what's written all over it. He's waiting for the day I run out of choices and return to him. Return back to the black den. No, I slam my fist down hard on the table, the sound echoing off the stone walls. They are untrained, powerless. The fail do not belong in the trials. I snarl. Lucien, my younger brother, leans back, arms crossed, a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. What? You scared one of them might kick your ass. Father exhales, slow and heavy. This idiot actually wants to throw ordinaries into the Ascension trials, the sacred fight meant for royals. The Zyre, those born with power, not left to rot in the wastes. I have no intention of spilling filthy blood over my home's grounds. The Fail do not deserve that honor. The people need something new this year, son, Father says, voice calm. The trials have gone unchanged for decades and have lost their popularity. It's time for a change. I groan, black hair falling into my eyes as I push myself back from the table. My muscles strain against my black uniform. My jaw clenches until pain shoots through my teeth. No, royals already die in the arena, and you want to drag in those who have scraped their lives together in the wastes. They provide no competition. They are just nuisances. They do not deserve to compete in these. Lucien laughs, a low, mocking sound that slides beneath my skin. Gods, listen to you. The blood air turned bleeding heart. What happened to the riven Knox I used to know? A muscle in my jaw ticks. I could get my hands on the dagger you're hiding underneath your coat and have it in your throat in less than 15 seconds. Don't tempt me, Lucien. Lucien smirks undisturbed. There he is. I almost missed you. Father's hand drags down his face, gold crown shifting like it might finally slip. This isn't about cruelty, Riven. It's about control. The people must see we still hold power, that we're willing to spill blood to keep it. By spilling their blood, my voice cuts low and lethal, the powerless, the voiceless. You think that inspires loyalty? My father rubs a hand over his temple, his crown tilted slightly as though the weight of it had finally become too much. Or maybe he's just tired of pretending to care. Sacrifice binds the realm together, Father says, voice like iron wrapped in velvet. It always has. You of all people should understand that. Blood keeps the crown on our heads. My blood, their blood. All but yours, I hiss, shadows coiling under my skin, hungry for release. Lucien drums his fingers against the armrest, eyes glittering with wicked amusement. Careful, brother, you sound almost compassionate. They're human, father, just as we are, I spit. Have you forgotten? You were one of them once. The room falls deathly silent, my words hanging in the air like a drawn blade. My father's gaze turns glacial, the kind of look that made him king in the first place, but I'm too pissed off to care. Watch your tongue, boy, he says, his voice a low, menacing growl. The mask of calm slips and rage cracks through the facade that made him king. You forget your place. I forget nothing. I snarl, standing straighter, meeting his glare with my own. But perhaps you have. I remember you crawling from the wastes, fighting your way to this throne. And now you'd throw those same people to the wolves to feed your own legend. His fist slams down on the table, hard enough to rattle the plates and goblets. I competed in those trials like you will, and I earned my place here. Those people, they are not mine, so don't think for 1 second that I care what happens to them. He stands, and I catch the faint glow of his power that dances between his fingertips. You think you understand the crown, the sacrifices I've made. You are nothing but a child playing at righteousness. And you know nothing but tyranny, I shoot back, voice low, lethal. Call it what it is, murder. Lucien, ever the instigator, chuckles from his seat, clearly enjoying the spectacle. Well, this is entertaining. I'd say the citizens might prefer this little show over the trials. Father lashes out, gold beams that tie itself into a rope wrapping out Lucien's throat. My brother's eyes go wide as he starts choking. If you're not going to make your useful, you shouldn't even be here at all. Father snarls. He drops Lucien back into his chair, my brother coughing as the king turns back to me. You think you know better than me? Then the crown? Fine. Perhaps you should see for yourself what it means to bear this burden. I hesitate, unsure of what he means, and in that moment of silence, he steps closer. My pulse drumming at the thought of drawing Lucien's dagger and sinking it into the old bastard's chest. Just to see if a king bleeds black or red. They will compete in this trial, and you will go to the wastes. Competitors have already been drawn in, and the selection happens tomorrow. The both of you will oversee it. Fuck no. The words tear from my throat like a curse. Shadows flood the chamber, coiling around stone, hungry, alive. They claw at the light, swallowing flame until darkness reigns. Control. Damn it, Riven. Groaning, I force the night back inside me, jaw clenched, breath ragged. The fail don't belong in the trials. They're nothing, powerless, disposable. They exist only to feed Zyrakin's thirst for blood. And now, by his decree, I'm to be the blade pressed to their throats. The blood heir, their executioner. Sweat drips down my body as I hit the pads harder and harder with each time my fist makes contact. My shirt clings to my body, my gloves long abandoned as blood coats my hands. The rhythmic thud of fists meeting leather echoes through the training chamber, but it isn't enough. The pad doesn't scream, doesn't beg, doesn't bleed. My muscles burn with every punch, the ache spreading down my arms and across my ribs until pain is the only thing keeping my thoughts from boiling over. But still, my father's voice slithers through the cracks. The fail, powerless, disposable, just another spectacle to keep the kingdom entertained, another offering to keep the crown untouchable. I've seen them in the wastes, their hollow eyes, their calloused hands, their bodies worn down by a life of survival. To throw them into the trials is to kill them outright. I drop my fists, my chest heaving as I glare at the blood-streaked pad. It's not about them, I tell myself. It never is. They're just another excuse to push me, to test me, to force me to conform to his twisted ideals of strength and loyalty. The leather cracks under my grip as I clench the edge of the pad, my breathing uneven. My father's words echo in my mind. Blood binds us to power. Power he's so desperate to cling to that he'll sacrifice anyone, no matter how undeserving of death. The fail don't matter to me, but the injustice of it burns, clawing at my ribs like something alive. It's not about mercy, it's about principle. A kingdom that survives on the broken backs of the powerless isn't worth the crown it worships. My father believes it's the only way to maintain order. But me, I see it for what it is. A system rotting from the inside, poisoning everyone it touches. Father, say something. Or did Lucian get mess with your head again? I turn to the doorway of the training ground to see my youngest brother, Cale, leaning against the arch. He's dressed up fully, his white attire very different to my black. He's been somewhere. Both, I turn back, driving my fist into the pad so hard fresh blood beads across my knuckles. He wants to bring the fail into the trials. Cale walks towards me, dropping his cloak and grabbing a sword from the racks. It was only a matter of time, Riv. We all knew it, and he's right. The trials have always been a show of power, royals tearing each other apart to remind the kingdom who rules. But this year, Father wants more. Wants the powerless thrown into the pit for the court's amusement. But also because I know he's scared. Since Mother left Ironspire, it leaves him, king now but formerly a fail, vulnerable. And you think that's necessary? My chest rises and falls, sweat dripping down my spine, blood wet on my fingers. To slaughter them just to keep the citizens entertained. He tilts his head, studying me with that maddening calm of his. The people are restless. They want to see blood, Riven. It's the only thing that keeps them in line. The trials were always about blood. It's what keeps Ironspire standing. I halt mid-swing, turning on him. They were meant to test strength, to find who's worthy. Not to butcher those who have got nothing but scraps left to give. He tilts his head, unfazed by my anger. Do you really still believe that? The trials stopped being noble centuries ago. Now it's about reminding everyone what fear feels like, what power looks like. I glare at him, my fists throbbing, skin split open from my own violence. And that's what you want, fear instead of loyalty. Cale exhales, the first crack in his practiced calm. It's what Father wants, and it's what keeps the kingdom from burning. The words twist in my chest, coiling tight around the rage festering there. Sacrifice. Father calls it that. But sacrifice isn't forcing the powerless to die for a crown they'll never wear. The Ascension trials began when the Origin Lords, the name given to the gods that created Syerin, descended upon this world and demanded tribute from the kingdoms they had created. The trials were meant to be offerings of strength, courage, and survival, a display to prove humanity's worth. Over centuries, the original purpose faded, leaving behind only the bloodshed and spectacle. Our people have stopped believing in us, and if we let it continue, another war will break out. We have to sacrifice a few lives to save hundreds. Sacrifice? I spit the word out like poison, throwing my gloves to the ground. My bloodied hands tremble at my sides, fists clenched so tightly the wounds split open further. You don't win loyalty by killing the powerless. You only make martyrs out of them. Then what would you have us do? We can't protect them all. His eyes narrow, frustration bleeding into his voice. But this is the world we live in, brother. Sacrifices are necessary. You can't protect everyone. I'm not trying to protect everyone, I snap. Just the ones who can't fight back. I don't participate in unfair fights. I like my odds to be equal. Cale shakes his head, already tired of this fight. If you really want to change it, stop fighting Father and figure out how to make it mean something. Because tomorrow it begins, whether you like it or not. He turns, boots tapping a slow retreat down the hall, fatting until silence drapes itself around me again. I stand there, chest heaving, blood dripping from my knuckles. I take the cloth on the bench, wrapping it around my hand, pressing down until the sting dulls and the bleeding stops. Then I turn, grab my cloak, and leave the chamber. Stone corridors stretch before me, the flickering torches throwing shadows across walls I've known my entire life. My boots echo in the hush, each step heavy with what waits for me tomorrow. When I reach my quarters, I strip off the sweat-soaked shirt, tossing it aside. I head to the wash basin, the cold water stinging as I splash it over my face. I grip the edge of the platform, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My dark hair clings to my forehead, and my eyes look hollow, haunted. This is the man my mother raised. A soldier, a weapon, a monster. My gaze catches on the scars that cross my chest and back, each one a lesson, a punishment, a reminder of who I am. The water drips from my chin as I straighten, finding another shirt from my armoire. My pulse thrums loud in my ears as I move across the floor, blowing out the candles one by one until darkness creeps back in and settles around me like a second skin. I sit on the edge of the bed, elbows on my knees, head bowed. My fingers trace the raised lines along my stomach, 17 on the front, 43 on the back. Each one earned, each one paid for. Outside, the wind rattles against the stone walls, carrying the faint scent of rain from the courtyard below. I close my eyes, jaw clenched. Tomorrow the selection begins, and whether I want to or not, I'll be there, watching, judging, deciding who lives and who dies. I settle into my bed, taking comfort in the darkness that has now become my home. She's coming. The Black Den. A nest of wolves in human skin, assassins, smugglers, bastards who have turned killing into a pastime. The kind of place where mercy is just another word for weakness. It hasn't changed. Stone walls streaked with grime, beams blackened by years of smoke, floorboards that stick underfoot with God's knows what. The air hangs thick, sweat, ale, old blood. It's filthy. It's home. I push through the doorway, boots crunching on grit, and for a second nobody looks up. That's the rule here. You mind your own fucking business unless you're drunk, new, or stupid. A few glances still cut my way, but they slide right off. I keep walking. Ashar moves through like he owns the place, and maybe he does in the ways that matter. A few men slap him on the back, low words exchanged, but their eyes flick to me when they think I'm not looking. The marker, Tolly's little wraith. The one they know better than to fuck with. We head for the stairs, the boards creaking under every step. At Tolly's door, Ashar stops, doesn't follow. "You're not coming," I mutter. "He wants you, darling, not me." His forehead tips to mine, voice dropping to something soft, just, "Keep your temper, Sy, it's bad, but..." You know I cut in. "Yes." His hand slides to the back of my neck, pulling me closer, and before I can breathe, his lips crash into mine. It starts soft, testing, but I don't pull back. I lean in, sighing into him, and that's all it takes. His mouth claims mine, tongue sliding past my lips, hungry and hot and real. His hand trails down, brushing between my thighs, and I can't stop the low moan that breaks from me. "Ashar," I breathe out, almost a warning. He pulls back first, forehead still resting on mine, breath rough. "If it's worse than you think," he murmurs, his voice a rasp that scrapes right down my spine, "remember. I can always make you forget. Room 12, I'll wait." He leaves that promise hanging in the air, brushes my jaw with his thumb, and disappears down the hall. I swallow, steady my breath as I turn to face the door. Tolly doesn't summon people to chat. The door groans open under my hand, and there he is, same cramped office, reeking of stale smoke and old ink. Same desk, littered with papers, ledgers, maps, and Tolly's dagger glinting faintly. The man himself sprawls in his chair, bigger than the room can hold, eyes lighting up when he sees me. "Hey, little wraith," he grins. I cross to him, my arms wrapping around his bulk for a heartbeat. The hug is quick, rough. He's still the man who raised me from the gutter. Doesn't mean I trust him. "You wanted me," I ask, stepping back, arms folding across my chest. His grin falters. He sighs, rubbing a hand over the scar on his jaw. "Wish I didn't kid, but this one's not good." Then spit it out. Tolly leans back, wood creaking. His gaze holds mine, steady. "You've been entered into the Ascension trials." My heart fucking stops. No, I misheard him, definitely. There's no other explanation. They don't bring fail into the trials. They never have, and there's no reason why this year it would be different. The trials are held every 5 years. And in my unfortunate luck, this year I've just made it into the age category. And even so, they don't bring fail, not the worthless. They're for royals, Syerin, the blessed with power, not gutter-born killers with blood on their hands. They don't take us, I snarl. They never have. Don't fucking lie to me. His stare turns harder, every scrap of softness gone. Do I look like I'm lying, Syerin? His voice is low, dangerous. They want you. Your name's on the list, and it's staying there. How? The word rips from me. How in all the goddamn realms did my name end up there? Toli's jaw flexes. Syerin soldiers came yesterday, looking for the marker. They knew your name before we opened our mouths. He pulls up his sleeve, showing bruises blooming dark across his skin. We tried to defend you. Didn't matter. Never mattered with the Syerin and their fancy powers anyways. He growls. This year, Velthar's dragging fail into the trials. For entertainment, they said, and the king himself singled you out. Entertainment. They're playing with our lives for entertainment. My nails bite deep into my palms, the sting grounding me against the roar in my skull. They want to see us die screaming. How long have you known? My voice is ice. A few days. His eyes flicker, guilt cutting through the iron. I meant to tell you sooner. But you were scared. My laugh is bitter, Hollow, scared for yourself, for your precious den. His silence is answer enough. Toli is many things, cunning, ruthless, a survivor. But selflessness has never been one of his virtues. I pace the room, my boots scuffing against the uneven floorboards. The selection I mutter mostly to myself. So what? I stand there, let them gawk at me, and then I'm shipped off to die. It's not fair, Toli says, voice deep, but it's your life now. And maybe, just maybe, you turn it to your advantage. Don't you fucking dare call this an opportunity, I snarl, stepping closer. They're going to kill me. His stare doesn't waver. You're not some fragile thing, little wraith. You've survived worse. And if anyone can turn the trials into something else, it's you. And the bastard is right. Kaylee still needs me. And if I run, they'll find me. At least in the arena, there's a chance. When I survive, I hiss, voice low and shaking with rage. I'm burning their precious fucking arena to ash. A hint of a smile tugs at his mouth. There she is. I don't remember crossing the hall, only the burn in my chest and the taste of blood in my mouth from biting my lip too hard. Room 12. The door flies open, slamming against the wall so hard flakes of plaster rain down. Ashar looks up from the blade he's sharpening, dark eyes steady, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth. You knew, I snap, my voice low and shaking. You fucking knew, Ashar. I did, he admits, calm, unflinching. They'll kill me, I breathe. The trials will kill me. You're not going to die, he says, his tone calm but firm. I stalk into the room, slamming the door shut behind me. I take a step, then another, until there's barely an inch between us. My chest brushes his, breath coming hard. Don't lie to me, I hiss, voice catching on the edge of fury. You, of all people. The words choke off in my throat. I squeeze my eyes shut, fighting the roar in my skull, the heat blooming in my chest. A sigh. No, I cut him short. You knew. I breathe, my voice low and shaking. You knew they were putting me in those fucking trials. And you didn't think I deserved to know. My fists curl so tight my nails cut into my palms. Do you even know what they do to people in there? What they'll do to me? Ashar doesn't flinch. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, hands hanging loose between them. His gaze holds mine. I know exactly what the trials are, he says, voice low. I've seen them. I've competed in them. The words slam into me so hard, I nearly forget to breathe. Red strands spill from my ponytail, falling across my vision as I stare at him. My anger pauses, tangled with disbelief. What? The word barely escapes, a ghost of sound. He's never told me that. Gods, he would have been just a boy. Ashar lifts his head, eyes darker than I've ever seen them. Haunted. Years ago, he says, before the den, before you, they picked me, just like they've picked you now. No warning, no reason. They just throw you in and wait to see who makes it out alive. My pulse thunders in my ears. No, Ashar, you would have been 15. That's not even the age limit. Not once in the history of Velthar have they dragged Fail in. That means... I came to the den at 16, he says quietly. A year after the trials. You're Syerin, I whisper. You have powers. He huffs a dry laugh, and then every candle in the room gutters out, plunging us into darkness. Cool water beads against my skin, dancing over my collarbone, gentle and cool. You're a water wielder, I breathe, chest tightening. Holy shit. I step closer before I realize it, anger faltering. You survived, I say. How? His mouth twists, not quite a smile. Shadows catch on the scars lining his forearms, pale and ragged. By becoming the worst version of myself, he murmurs. By doing things I'll never stop paying for. The rage that kept me standing seeps out through my boots, leaving only dread in its wake. My legs give, and I sink into the chair by the desk. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I ask. Because I knew you'd look at me like this, Ashar says, rising to his feet, crossing the room. He kneels in front of me, hands wrapping around mine. You're stronger than you think, Syerin. You've beaten worse odds than this. I scoff, trying to pull my hands away, but he doesn't let go. Ash, how the hell do you prepare for something like this? They train you, he says. Ironspire gives the competitors a few months to train and hone your skills. Enough time that if you're lucky, and you're you, you'll survive on skill alone. His hands leave mine, arms slipping around my waist as he lifts me like I weigh nothing. Don't worry about it too much, he whispers, breath hot against my ear. Then he tosses me onto the bed. Before I can spit back, like hell I'm not going to worry, my shirt is gone, tossed to the floor with my panties and his own clothes in the same breathless moment. His hands are on me, rough yet gentle, pressing me into the mattress like he owns every inch of my skin. You need this, he rasps against my throat, voice gone dark and hungry. Stop thinking, just feel. I open my mouth to snap back, but words dissolve into a gasp when his teeth graze my collarbone. A shiver ripples down my spine, my body arching into him despite every stubborn bone in me. His palms skim down my sides, calloused, familiar, setting my nerves alight. Ashar, I choke out, but he silences me with a kiss that sears through skin and bone, stealing every protest from my lungs. His weight pins me, grounding me. His lips roam lower, mapping my skin, claiming every fragile breath I take. "Stop thinking," he whispers against my lips. "Let go, Sye, just for now." I bite my lip, nails digging into his muscled back. His mouth finds the spot just below my navel, drawing a trembling moan from me that I couldn't hold back if I tried. His gaze lifts, catching mine, dark and wanting. "You're not going to die," he murmurs against my ear. His words feel like a promise and a prayer. "Not while I'm alive to make sure of it. You'll survive, Syerin, and I'll make damn sure you do." Then there's no space left between us, only heat and skin and the scrape of breath against breath. His mouth moves lower, his tongue circling my clit until my hips twitch helplessly, chasing him. "Fuck," the curse rips from me, raw and needy, as his fingers slide inside, curling just right, coaxing me higher. Ashar watches me, his eyes locked on mine, black and burning, as he drags me to the edge. The anger, the fear, they melt into something fierce and breathless. Only this moment matters. His mouth, his hands, the ache coiling tighter inside me. "Let it go," he breathes, voice rough and low. "Feel everything." I do. I lose myself in it, my hips rolling into his hand, gasps and broken moans spilling like confession. The world outside, Ironspire, the trials, the fear of dying, the fear of not, it all blurs to nothing. We don't love each other. Ashar knows it. I know it. But God's, the fact it doesn't have to mean anything makes it everything. His fingers thrust deeper, tongue teasing until heat explodes behind my ribs, a knot snapping sharp and blinding. My back arches, nails clawing at the sheets as my release rushes through me. "Good," he rasps against my thigh, voice thick. "You're close. Let go for me." White-hot pleasure blinds me, spilling down my thighs. I cry out, his name a broken plea, until my body slackens under the aftershocks. "You're stronger than anyone I know," Sye, Ashar whispers against my skin. "The choosing will make you fight the others. 5 come out, and God's damn it, you're going to be one of them." Sleep is a stranger tonight. 3 hours, that's all it gave me before it slipped through my fingers like smoke, leaving me wide awake and stripped bare. So I do what I always do when the nightmares circle too close. I train. Kaylee's asleep by the time I get back, curled under threadbare blankets, the small rise and fall of her chest the only thing in this rotten world that calms me. She doesn't wake, doesn't see me shrug off my cloak and head back out into the yard where the cold bites sharp at my skin, a feral thing that doesn't know mercy. I hit harder and harder, knuckles splitting, sweat slicking down my spine as the leather bag swings wildly under my blows. My breath tears in and out of my chest, white against the freezing air. The selection's coming, and maybe I'm lying to myself when I say I'm not ready. Maybe the truth is uglier, that I am ready and I hate what that says about me. Blood smears across the bag, dripping from my fists in slow, hot rivulets. Kick, strike, kick again, until my arms burn and my chest heaves, lungs clawing for air. He's coming. I freeze. The words slip across my mind like oil on water. Cold, disembodied, wrong. My head snaps up. Who's there? I snarl into the dark, body shifting into stance before thought can catch up. Show yourself. Nothing. No Ani is here. Syerin Cayde. A shiver slides down my spine, cold and sharp as a blade. That voice, it didn't come from the yard. It didn't come from anywhere. It came from inside my fucking head. He's coming. Before the thought can even finish tearing through me, agony explodes down my back. My breath catches, a strangled sound scraping up my throat. Fire erupts across my back, searing through muscle and bone until my knees buckle. My fingers dig into the ground, nails splitting on stone as I gasp for air that won't come. My chest jerks with every ragged inhale, the pain crawling under my skin, spreading until it's all I can feel. I can't move. I can't even scream. My head's spinning, vision blurring, and all I can do is cling to consciousness, heartbeat hammering loud and frantic in my ears. What the fuck is happening to me? I can't breathe, can't think, can't focus through the agony that's consuming every part of me. My skin feels like it's being scorched from the inside out, and I can almost feel something beginning to take shape on my skin. It's burning, branding me. He's coming. The words snake through my mind, curling tight around something deep inside me, and then nothing. For a breath, there's silence. Then the pain floods back in. I suck in a ragged gasp, my lungs burning like I've been holding my breath for hours. My back throbs in slow, sickening pulses, each one dragging a fresh wave of nausea up my throat. My arms buckle, palms hitting the dirt. Dust clings to the sweat slicking my skin, and for a moment, all I can do is stay there, knees digging into the cold ground, breath rasping out in broken shudders. What was that? Hands shaking, I yank my shirt over my head, fingers flying to my spine. And there it is. Raised skin, lines burned so deep I can feel every curve, every jagged edge. My chest tightens. No, it can't be real. I stumble to my feet, practically crashing through the door. Chairs topple, something clatters to the ground, but I barely notice. I find the mirror, nearly tear it off the wall in my rush. The girl staring back doesn't look like me. Wild eyes, sweat-damp hair stuck to her face. But my gaze darts past her reflection to what's carved into my back. I twist, pulling my hair away, trying to see. A symbol. No, a mark. Twisting, jagged lines curling around my spine, intricate as a spider's web, burnt so deep it looks almost black at the edges. And in the dim light it glows like embers under skin. My stomach lurches. It looks alive. It feels alive. I swallow hard, throat dry and tight. My skin still stings, every breath brushing pain against the mark. My fingers hover over it, too afraid to press. My breath catches. How is this even possible? My mind scrambles for sense for anything, but all I can hear is my pulse roaring in my ears. The Bloodmark. So many legends and folktales have been made about it. I grew up listening to them but never once believed it was real. Because it can't. Legends stay legends. They don't become real. The tales talk of 6 gods, the origin lords. 3 goddesses, blood, light, and life. And their mates, ash, darkness, and death, each bearing a mark said to hold their power. I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to calm my breathing as I remember their stories. All the legends were different, but they all said one same thing. The marks are a curse. I stumble back, heart pounding so hard it feels like it might tear free. A curse, or a gift. I don't even know which terrifies me more. I only ever thought of them as legends, stories to scare children into obedience. I never once thought they'd be real, never thought one of them would be mine. And the blood mark? It belonged to the goddess of blood, paired with the god of ash. They are the only origin lords that don't have a balance. Both are an evil element. Chaos, destruction, nothing to hold them back. Together, they could shatter kingdoms. My gaze snaps back to the mirror, to the red glow crawling across my skin like a brand that won't fade. The legends echo in my head, quiet, taunting whispers, power, destruction, and the God who waits. My chest tightens until it hurts. I can barely keep standing, my legs trembling as I realize what this really means. The goddess has marked me. And if anyone finds out, if they see what's burned into my back, I won't even make it to the trials. Find Himmam. Morning claws its way in too damn early. Kaylee's still curled up, breathing soft, a dagger tucked under her pillow like she owns the bed and the world. I scribble a note, be back soon. Hopefully. Because optimism isn't exactly my thing. I take one last look at myself in the mirror. My black leathers are tight across my body, hugging every scar and curve. Twin swords crossed at my back, daggers strapped to my thighs, gun at my hip, a small reassurance of what's about to come. The blood mark throbs under my layers. I groan at the subtle pain. The royals will be here, and if absolutely anyone catches me with this mark. No, we're not going there. You were Chosian for a Ryasuan. My jaw tightens. Fuck your reason. The wastes don't do reasons. They do survival, and I'm damn good at that. One last look at Kaylee, soft and small in a world that will eat her alive, and then I'm out the door. Dawn claws at the sky, bruising it purple and gold. The air bites cold against my face as the empty streets give way to the restless crowd of the markets. The streets are a mess of mud, stone, and desperate souls drawn to the square like vultures to fresh kill. There's an audience. I wonder if Toli will be here or even Ashar, or if they're both too scared to watch me die. I weave my way through the crowd, keeping my head down and my hood drawn low. My heartbeat quickens as I approach the center of the square, where the High Council sits atop a raised dais, their expressions impassive as they preside over the ritual. Warriors of every kind, from seasoned killers to nervous recruits, stand shoulder to shoulder, waiting to be called forward. One by one, names are called, and candidates step forward. The first fight is between a bulky, tall man who's got an axe in his hand and a young girl. Her hair's brown, her body lithe. She doesn't look like she's packed a lot of strength, but I know better than to underestimate people. Yalen Ferretti and Lurel Corvin, take your positions. The noise dies in an instant. The crowd pulls tighter, bodies pressing shoulder to shoulder, forming a living cage around the makeshift arena. My breath catches when I see the girl step forward. Brown hair, cropped short around a sharp jawline, a body built for speed, not brute strength. But there's something in her eyes, hard, flat, unflinching, that makes my pulse flicker. She doesn't so much as flinch when Yalen swings that massive axe, muscles rippling under his bulk, blade slicing the air in a brutal arc meant to terrify. Whispers ripple like a snake through the crowd. She's done for. Too small, too weak. She won't last a minute. I keep my hood low, mouth set in a line. They see fragility, I see possibility. In the wastes, strength isn't what keeps you alive. It's speed, precision, ruthlessness born of desperation. The High Council doesn't bother hiding their boredom. A flick of a hand, and the fight begins. Yalen charges first, axe cleaving the air with a force that could tear bone from flesh. But Lurel doesn't move. Not until the last second. Then she's gone, a shadow slipping out of reach. The axe embeds itself in the dirt, and before Yalen can pull it free, she's already on him. A small blade glints in her hand, slashing across Yalen's exposed forearm. Blood splatters the ground, and Yalen roars in anger, yanking the axe free with one hand while clutching his wounded arm with the other. But she keeps moving. She circles him like hunger given flesh, every step deliberate, every breath measured. The crowd can barely track her, necks craning, gasps spilling from parted lips. Yalen swings again, rage clouding his aim. The axe cuts nothing but empty air. Lurel is already at his side, dagger flashing to open another line of red across his ribs. He stumbles, breath rasping loud enough for me to hear even from where I stand. My own breath hitches. I can't look away. She's persistent, not reckless. Every strike is small, not meant to kill, but meant to bleed him slow. The ground drinks his blood greedily, dark patches blooming around his feet. Yalen staggers, strength leaking from his body with every heartbeat. He swings his axe towards her again, but it's got no speed, no force. And then she decides to move. One final breath, one final decision. She darts forward, boots barely skimming the dirt, leaps onto his back. Her blade kisses his throat, then bites deep. Silence falls. Yalen's eyes widen, a wet gurgle spilling from his lips. His knees hit the ground first. Then the rest of him follows, the axe slipping from limp fingers. Lurel stands over him, chest heaving, blood dripping down her blade and staining her tunic. Her expression doesn't change, not victory, not horror. Just the face of someone who knows that this was necessary. She looks up at the High Council, chin lifted, waiting for their judgment. Lurel Corvin, one of the council members, announces, their voice cold and detached. You have proven yourself worthy. Step forward, you will advance to the next round. The crowd parts as Lurel strides toward the dais, her steps steady despite the blood coating her hands and arms. One by one candidates are called up, fights either resulting in death or tap-outs. My foot taps impatiently as I wait for my name to be called out, praying it never actually does. Syerin Cayde, step forward. Well, shit. He's here. Who? My thoughts flicker and the grip on my blade tightens. The blood heir. Jesse Jang, step forward. My gaze snaps to my opponent. He's lean, wiry, not a wall of muscle, but every inch of him looks coiled and ready. His weight balanced forward, a dagger glinting in his right hand, his other arm guarding close to his ribs. Martial artist. A small smile spreads across my lips as I throw my cloak off to the side. Oh, this is going to be fun. Fighters, take your positions. I step into the ring. My boots press into the dirt. The crowd moves in close, but I don't pay any attention to them. The blood mark burns faintly against my spine, a brand I can't forget even for a heartbeat. Jesse and I circle the ring, and I take in the way he puts his weight on the balls of his feet, leaning slightly too much to the right. Begin. He lunges, dagger flashing in the sunlight as I sidestep quickly, my sword still sheathed on my back as I focus on reading his movements. He's fast, his strikes meant to kill, unlike Luril's who teased her opponent. His blade arcs toward my throat, but I duck, breath catching as I barely move out of the way. I don't unsheath my weapons yet. Let him think I'm at a disadvantage. Let him underestimate me. He feints left. My eyes track his hips, catch the real movement. I seize his wrist, twisting up, but he's stronger than he looks, slamming a fist into my ribs that sends pain sparking up my side. The crowd roars, and animals cry for blood. My breath stutters, but my focus sharpens to a blade's edge. I draw one sword, steel meeting his dagger with a clash that causes me to stumble back. Jesse smirks, sweat beading on his brow. You're holding back, he taunts, voice low enough for only me to hear. Afraid. Talk less, I snap, stepping in, fight more. My blade slices the air, driving him back, his footing faltering. I don't give him time to recover, each swing of my sword driving him further back. His knife grazes my arm, a shallow cut that burns but doesn't stop me. The blood mark pulses, a strange heat radiating from my back as adrenaline floods my veins. Use it, let it consume you. I grit my teeth, pushing the voice away. Frustration tightens Jesse's features. His eyes flicker with anger. I grin, eyes locked on his. You look nervous, sweetheart, I purr, afraid. He snarls, then drops low, sweeping at my legs. I leap, twisting midair, landing behind him, my blade angled against the curve of his throat. If he moves, he dies. Yield, I breathe. Lips close enough to his ear that I see the goosebumps rise on his skin. The crowd holds its breath. Either you surrender or you die. And trust me, I have no problem with killing you. I am offering you mercy, something I don't do often. So I say, smiling, if I was you, I would do the smart thing and yield. He hesitates, chest heaving, sweat dripping. and then groans, slamming his dagger down into the dirt. Yield, he bites out. Good choice, I say softly before I sheath my swords and stand up. The council member's voice rings out. Syerin Cayde, victorious, step forward. I lower my blade, the whispers in my mind fading as I turn away from Jesse. The crowd parts like water, murmurs rippling around me as I approach the council. Zup, look up. I exhale, finally deciding to listen to the voice. I tilt my head upwards and gods. He's there, leaning against the black marble of the dais like the world itself was built just to hold him. I forget where I am, the crowd, the council, everything vanishes. All I can see is him. Raven black hair falls carelessly across his forehead, framing features so sharp they look carved from cruelty itself. A tattoo snakes along the side of his neck, its lines disappearing beneath the high collar of his tunic. And those eyes, gods, those eyes, impossibly blue, colder than any winter but burning hotter than any flame. Hypnotic and merciless, but behind them, a hunger older than sin itself. His stare doesn't just see me, it devours, lays me bare, unravels every defense I've ever built. The kind of stare that makes you feel like prey and want to be caught anyway. It shreds my composure. His gaze drifts, slow and possessive, over my body, not like he's looking at me, but like he's already claimed me. The faintest tilt of his lips forms a smirk, so slight it could almost be missed, but I don't miss it. The smirk deepens, dark amusement sparking in his sea-glass eyes. He knows. He knows exactly what he's doing to me, and gods, he relishes it. But it's more than beauty. It's the way he stands there, decadent, deadly, and amused, like the world is a game built for him to win. Like sin itself decided to walk the earth and took his shape. And I can feel it, the mark at my back burning hotter under his gaze, my breath catching in my throat. My pulse trips, then races, heat flooding low in my belly. His smirk deepens, eyes dragging over me so slowly it feels like a caress. But I don't look away. I smirk back, chin tilted, lashes lowering just enough. Because I know exactly what I'm doing to him, too. And in that breathless, wicked moment, it feels like he's fucking me with nothing but a look. Like the two of us could burn the world down and call it foreplay. And now I understand why no one, Sire or Fail alike, soldier or noble, dares to cross him. The potion wrapped in silk and shadow. The curse that watches me with a sinner's eyes. The blood heir. Ugh. The moment I see her, it feels like sin made flesh. And fuck, I know I'd bleed kingdoms just to taste it. That hair, red as spilled blood, falls in soft waves down her back, and the black armor hugging every lethal curve looks made to be peeled off, piece by piece in the dark. Freckles dance across her nose, softening nothing. Her ice blue gaze cuts through me so clean it almost hurts. A low heat pools in my gut. My lips twitch into a smirk that feels more like a threat than a smile. Gods, she's danger wrapped in grace, and every inch of me wants to unravel her. Every step she takes toward the platform is deliberate, taunting. Like the world itself bends to her will, like the dirt under her boots is privileged to be crushed by her. There's blood drying on her hands, fresh proof of what she can do, and it only makes my need burn hotter. She pauses, tilts her head just slightly, but it's enough. Her eyes find mine across the space, and I see it. The split-second parting of her lips, the hitch of breath she tries to hide, the way her grip tightens around the dagger at her hip. She doesn't flinch, doesn't drop her gaze. Instead, she meets mine, and for the first time in what feels like centuries, I want. No, I ache. She doesn't even realize what she's done to me yet. The High Council drones on about formalities, but I can't be bothered to pay attention. All that exists is this beautiful, blood-stained Syerin standing in the dirt, daring me to keep starring. And I do. Riven, Lucian's voice pulls at me, low and sharp. I don't need to look to know he's noticed where my attention lies. Stop starring. But how do you look away from something that feels like sin itself? I'm not staring, I murmur, though we both know it's a lie. The corner of my mouth twitches into a darker smirk as I finally tear my gaze away, just long enough to glance at him. His arms are crossed tight, his jaw set, eyes tracking her like a hawk. You see it too, don't you? See what? He snaps. She's different, I say, turning back to watch her, unable to stop myself. There's a fire in her eyes that tells me she's not like the others. There's no fear in those eyes. No need to impress. She's going to tear this game apart. Or get herself killed. Lucian mutters, but I catch the way his gaze lingers on her too long. He feels it, maybe not the same way I do, but he knows she's dangerous. Good. Dangerous is interesting. Dangerous is thrilling. She steps onto the dais, and the air shivers like something alive. It's almost imperceptible, but I feel it. A ripple of unease that sweeps through the gathered crowd. People sense her before they truly see her. That cold promise of violence, wrapped in red hair and black leathers. Her gaze cuts over the council members, each one flinching under the weight of it. And then her eyes find mine. It's like being punched in the ribs and kissed at the same time. My smirk deepens, slow and hungry, bold little thing. Name, one of the counselors barks, voice cracking like an old whip. He looks brittle, like he'd snap in half if she so much as breathed wrong. She doesn't blink. Syerin Cayde. And your title. She lets the silence drag just long enough to taste it, and when she smiles, gods, it's a sharp, bloody thing, it's pure provocation. The marker. The word falls into the crowd like a stone into water. The counselor drops his pen, glass shatters against stone. Lucian jerks beside me, eyes wide. She's the marker. He breathes. Even the Zyre know that name. The ruthless assassin who sends heads instead of threats. Whispers ripple through the room like a wave, but I stay silent, watching, studying. The counselor shifts uncomfortably under her steady gaze. He glances at the blood still smeared across her armor, then quickly away, his lips pressing into a thin line. The counselor swallows, color draining from his face. Well, Syerin Cayde, he croaks, your performance in the arena was adequate. Adequate, I nearly laugh. She held back and still managed to get her competitor on his knees. She tilts her head just a fraction, that faint smirk curling her lips. Not enough to look amused, just enough to look dangerous. It works. The counselor pales further, fumbling for the next words. She's reckless, Lucian mutters, too low for anyone else to hear. No, I correct him, voice like a promise. She's dangerous, and that's better. He knows I'm right. The counselor finally clears his throat, voice shaking. You'll join the others in the holding quarters until the next stage. Dismissed. She turns away without hesitation. And somewhere deep in my bones, the voice that whispers to me in the dark laughs softly. She will be our end, Prince. The first thing I do is hunt for her. My back burns with a slow, coiling agony, heat licking up my spine the closer I get to the chambers. She's marked, and for a damn reason. If she can't master it, she'll tear us all apart, if the trials don't gut her first. Find Harrer. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? The guards stationed at the doors step aside without a word, bowing low, but I don't slow down. Inside, men and women alike are training, hitting pads, sparring, training for something they shouldn't even be allowed to participate in. But none of them matter. None of them ever matter. Until her. Red hair falling down her back like spilled wine, black armor hugging every curve like it was forged for her alone. She's sparring with a man twice her size, Zedric Costi. I recognize him from one of the fights, and she's toying with him. Every slash, every dodge, every twist of her blade says it. She could end this whenever she wants. She's holding back, again, and it almost annoys me. Why? You deliver heads for a living and you're holding back here. When your life is on the line, why? Her blade flicks, Costi's weapon clatters to the ground. She steps in, pressing the metal to his throat. Costi freezes, hands raised. She doesn't lower her blade right away, no. She stares him down, unblinking, a smirk ghosting her lips like the promise of something cruel. Then the murmurs rise. The marker's a girl. She's real good. Best keep our distance. Hell, I should do the same. But fuck, I can't. I knew that the second my body burst into excruciating pain last night. A pain I've only felt once. A pain I should only feel once unless. Something pushes into me. I turn, ready to snap. And it's her. She doesn't stumble, doesn't so much as flinch. Just looks up at me from beneath sweat-damp strands of blood-red hair, eyes sharp enough to cut. "Watch it, Your Highness," she murmurs, voice low, tired from fighting. Her lips curve, the ghost of a smirk playing at the corners. She moves back from me, and I lean casually against one of the stone pillars, my eyes raking over her as I take her in. Her red hair to the armor clinging to her curves. My cock presses against my zipper, and I bite back a groan. Fuck. You ran into me. I rasp, the words coming out lower than I mean them to. Did I? She says, tilting her head, blue eyes gleaming with wicked amusement. My mistake. I laugh, turning my eyes back towards Costi, who sits in the corner, treating one of the shallow wounds she gave him. You know, it's been absolutely driving me insane. I start. Why do you hold back when you know you can secure the kill? Her blue eyes narrow, colder than any winter but hotter than any flame. Holding back, her tone lilts, sweet as poison. That's bold, Prince. Bold, I echo, my smirk sharpening but true. I push closer, close enough to see her pupils flare, her fingers twitch on the dagger. That wasn't everything you had, not even close. She shrugs. Maybe they weren't worth it. Or maybe, my voice drops, low and dangerous. You're afraid of what happens if you do. Her smile falters for just a fraction of a second, and it's enough to confirm my suspicion. There's something she's hiding, something I already know. The mark on my back throbs again, a searing heat that makes me grit my teeth. I see the muscle in her jaw tick, her fists clenched. It's her. Why? She's more than a mere fail, blood heir. She is going to destroy everything and take us down with her. Is there a point to this little interrogation? Or are you just here to waste my time? I don't waste time, I reply, my voice dropping. Especially not on someone like you. Her eyebrow arches. Someone like me. Fail, I spit. You don't belong here, and don't think for a second that you do. Those trials that you all think can save you. I laugh. We will kill you the moment you step on ground that isn't stained with your dirty blood. I need to keep my distance, no matter what it takes. Her eyes flicker. I don't take any satisfaction when I see the slight shake in her hands, the way she bites her lip. You think you can scare me, Prince. So, I know I already have. I don't have to, I murmur. You're already scared. I step to the side of her, fingers pressing gently against her back. She jerks away from me and I scoff. Of me and what's already inside you. Riven. Lucian's voice slices through, snapping my head around. He's standing beyond the circle of fighters. Father's calling for you. His words die when he sees her. My jaw ticks, and I have the sudden urge to punch my brother in the face when his gaze drags down her body. Until next time, Marker, I say, dipping my head in mock politeness. Her mouth curves. I'll be waiting. I turn, the crowd parting as I stride towards Lucian. Look at her like that again, I growl, and we'll have a problem. Lucian snorts, eyebrow arched, jealous already. Hardly, I bite back. Lucian falls into step beside me as we move toward the throne room. The heat of the mark on my back still pulses, a reminder of what she is, what she could become. My hands curl into fists at my sides, words echoing in my mind. She will be our undoing. No, she's a distraction, a puzzle to solve, a weapon to wield if necessary, but nothing more. But even as I think it, my gut twists with the lie. The moment she spoke her name, something in me answered, and it has nothing to do with the mark on my back. Lucian clears his throat, pulling me from my thoughts. Do you really think she's holding back? I know she is. Why? That, I say, is what I intend to find out. Lucian snorts. Just don't let her kill you before the trials do. And as we walk, the only thing in my mind is the promise in her eyes. Fire, blood, and ruin. And gods damn me, I want it all. Syerin Cayde, a fail from the wastes. My whole life, I've been told to despise them, taught they're lesser, dangerous, untrustworthy. And for the most part, I've believed it. But this girl, the one with hair like wildfire and eyes that could freeze the sun, she's making it damn near impossible to hate her. Or maybe it's just her. It shouldn't matter where she's from. It shouldn't matter. But it does, and I can't stop thinking about it. We're barely even allowed to talk to them, let alone be near them. Getting close, that's forbidden. A crime. Yet here I am, drawn to her like an idiot. And it seems my brother has no problem betraying the rules either. In 1 second, he lost all the ruthlessness, cruelness, absolute merciless kinda shit that gave him his title to her. She's dangerous. Riven was right. And if he can't stay away from her, she's going to tear down everything we have lived for. My eldest brother may not be my favorite person in this world, but I will do anything to keep him safe. The way he looks at her, it's different. He studies her like she's a puzzle he can't solve, a threat he can't decide whether to destroy or admire. I know him. I've watched him glare down entire armies without a flicker of emotion, but with her, there's something there. A spark. A spark that is going to fuck us right into hell. I glance at my brother out of the corner of my eye, his jaw clenched tight, his expression unreadable. Typical Riven, always the picture of control, even when I can see the cracks beneath the surface. I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but I have a good guess. A girl's whose initials are SC, she's been in his head just as much as she's been in mine, though Riven would rather die than admit it. A fail. You're quiet, I say, breaking the silence. My voice echoes faintly in the hall, and my brother's eyes flick to me. And you're talking, he replies coolly. Shocking. I roll my eyes, shoving my hands into my pockets. You don't have to act like I'm the only one who's losing their mind over her. Riven stops abruptly, his gaze snapping to me. His voice drops, low and dangerous. Careful, Lucian. I hold up my hands in mock surrender, but I don't back down. You think I'm blind? You need to remember she's fail, brother. Fail. You hate them, and you have since you were fucking made the blood heir. She's nothing but another girl sent into the trials to die, and you have to treat her as such. Shut the fuck up before I mess up your face. I sigh. It's never easy talking to this one. I shouldn't push him, I know that. But someone has to. Riven, I'm serious, I say, lowering my voice. You can't let her get to you. You know what father will do if he even suspects. He cuts me off with a sharp glare, his voice a razor's edge. Don't lecture me on father. I know exactly what's at stake. Do you? I shoot back, stepping closer. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're forgetting why she's here. Syerin's a pawn, Riven, a tool, and if you start seeing her as anything more. His fist slams into the wall beside me, cutting off the rest of my sentence as chunks fly out at me. The sound reverberates through the corridor, and I flinch. Do not, he growls, his face inches from mine, tell me what I already know. You think I don't see the risk? You think I don't feel the weight of this every damn second? He straightens himself up, his height towering over me. And don't ever speak her name to me again. With that, his lips twist into a snarl as he walks away, disappearing into the hallways of a random street in the wastes. I stand there, frozen, watching his back until he's completely out of sight. The echo of his footsteps fades, leaving me alone in the dimly lit corridor. My chest tightens, frustration bubbling under my skin. Great, I mutter to myself, running a hand through my hair. Another perfectly productive conversation with the ever-approachable Riven Knox. I sigh and push myself off the wall, my boots echoing as I walk down the corridor. My father's expecting us, or just Riven now, considering he stormed off like a damn hurricane. My jaw tightens as I replay the conversation with my brother in my head. He's always been like this, impossible to reach, impossible to reason with. All the killing and murdering has made him hard, cold, but sometimes I wonder if it's all a mask. A mask even he believes in. Father won't be any better. If Riven's temper is a wildfire, then Father's is an ice storm. Very, very unforgiving. Whatever this urgent information Father has to tell us, it's bad enough that Riven looked like he was dragging a noose to his own execution. I quicken my pace, rounding a corner as the corridor opens into a hallway, where there's Father's large office in the wastes. The sentinels posted at the entrance straighten at my approach, their polished armor reflecting the faint light. They don't speak, but their eyes follow my every move. I nod at them briefly and push open the heavy doors, the cold air inside hitting me like a slap. Father sits at the far end of the room, his eyes narrowed and brows knitted. His face is illuminated by the glow of the brazier beside him, and his gaze snaps to me the moment I step inside. "Lucien," he says, his voice low but commanding. "You're late." I bow my head slightly, keeping my tone steady. "My apologies, Father. I came as soon as I could." Riven is already there, standing rigid a few feet from Father's desk. His expression is blank, but I know him well enough to see the tension in his shoulders. Whatever Father told him, or is about to tell us, it's serious. Father leans back in his chair, his fingers steepled in front of him as his eyes shift between us. "Good. Now that you're both here, we can discuss what's to be done." Done about what? I glance at Riven, but his gaze stays fixed on Father. Whatever this is, I'm walking into it blind. And that, more than anything, makes my stomach twist. Father's gaze lingers on me, yet instead of his usual icy stare, I find it shocking to see some warmth in there. It's a look I've known my entire life, one that says I am here to serve a purpose and nothing more. Riven clears his throat, his voice steady but clipped. "I've already given my report, Father. Lucien can be brought up to speed quickly." "Then enlighten him," the king says sharply, his fingers drumming on the armrest of his chair. "We don't have time to waste." Riven doesn't look at me. Instead, his eyes remain fixed on the floor, his jaw working as though he's chewing on something bitter. There's unrest spreading outside the city. Camps near the borders are becoming more organized. There are whispers of alliances being formed. Camps near the borders. That would mean only one thing. My stomach knots tighter. Rebellion. Rebellion. No, rebellions. Ironspire's always been the one with resources, privileges, and abilities, but we have reason to believe that people in other areas like Calston, maybe even the Wastes, have people that are in possession of Syerin abilities or lesser magics. My brother sighs, pulling out a chair, his long body draped across. All the states have one thing in common: take down Ironspire. But their rivalry is still intact. Multiple rebellions are being formed. Multiple rebellions. Not just one uprising to crush, but a network of factions, each driven by their own motives, yet unified by their hatred for Ironspire. My pulse quickens. We're not ready for this. We're nowhere near ready for this. A father leans forward, his steely gaze cutting through the light. You're certain of this? Riven nods, his jaw tight. The sentinels have confirmed it. This isn't speculation, father. It's happening. Small groups are banding together, using lesser magics where they can. Some of them have even started experimenting with Syerin abilities. Syerin abilities. My breath catches. Experimentation. Our powers are rare, dangerous, and tightly controlled within Ironspire. If others outside the city have access to even a fraction of that power. Experimentation, you mean? Yes, Luce. I scowl at the nickname, my brother's eyes rolling like he's bored or annoyed. Those that were originally Syerin are finding ways to be able to transfer some of their power for others to use. If that happens, that means we lose everything. Well, shit. What about Calston? I ask, my voice steady despite the unease clawing at my chest. They've always been quiet, if they're involved. They are, Riven cuts in. Calston has been supplying weapons to the rebels. Ironspire's grip on them is weakening, and they're taking advantage of it to bolster their own position. My head suddenly whips towards my father. The trials, father, shouldn't we? They won't be cancelled. At this, my brother and I both look at my father like he's an idiot. Are you out of your fucking mind? There goes that self-restraint Riv spends his whole life trying to keep in place. Ironspire might get destroyed and you're still worried about the trials. The right move is to have our entire focus on finding a way that doesn't end with us in ashes flying away in the wind like our happy ever after. I snort and I can barely keep the laugh from tearing from my throat. Tears prick at my eyes. Will you please not? Shut up. He cuts me off, his voice sharp, before turning back to face the king. Father leans forward, voice cold and a little shaky. He's afraid. The trials are a distraction for the people. If we pull back now, it will only breed fear. They'll start to doubt our leadership, and some may turn to the rebellion, hoping it's their only chance at survival. Well, this only has one call. Like father, like son. Both men turn to me, eyes narrowed, eyebrows cocked as they stare at me. It's time to call mother. The second my eyes landed on Riven Knox, my pulse has not stopped racing, and my back is still hurting. Why is that every time he gets closer, the mark burns? Riven Knox, the blood air. Fuck. I groan as my legs get swept out under me. I hit the ground hard, a sharp jolt running up my spine as the cold floor bites into my skin. The mark flares with pain, white-hot and unforgiving, as if it's mocking me for my weakness. Focus, Syerin. Luril Corvin's voice snaps through the haze. She stands over me, her arms crossed, her expression a mix of exasperation and concern. In the few hours the contestants have been training for the final round, I've made a new friend. Ally, you're distracted again. Distracted doesn't even begin to cover it. My mind is a whirlwind, and at the center of it all is him, Riven Knox. I push myself up, brushing dirt off my palms, and glare at Luriel. I'm fine. You're not. She offers me a hand, which I grudgingly take, her grip firm as she hauls me to my feet. You're thinking about him again, aren't you? I don't answer. The truth sits heavy on my tongue, bitter and sharp, but I refuse to admit it. Riven Knox is the last person I should be thinking about, the last person I should care about. His impossibly green eyes, brighter than any emerald I'd ever seen, flashed in my mind. That intense, predatory gaze, as though he could see right through me, peeling away every layer I'd ever built to protect myself. And that midnight black hair, always perfectly unruly. I hated how I remembered the way it caught the light, how it framed his sharp, chiseled face. His jawline, the kind that could cut glass, and those faint scars across his knuckles, whispered tales of a brutal past that only made him more dangerous. It's fucking maddening. I mean, I don't blame you. Luriel starts as she faces me again, ready to strike. The Knox brothers are every girl's dream and nightmare. Riven's always been the nightmare, Lucian somewhat a dream, and Cale, the kind of guy every girl would want around. Yet it always ends up back at the callous, unsympathetic asshole whose name starts with R. She lunges, and I narrowly dodge before I drop down, my legs sweeping around in an arc circle which she jumps over. Cale, I thought. The Knox brothers are a package deal of 3. Riven, Lucian, and Cale. Cale tends to stay in the castle most of the time, away from the fighting. He's more of the intelligent, brainy side of the brothers. King keeps him close when it comes to planning operations and stuff. I barely process her words as I dodge her next strike, the burn of the mark and the incessant pounding of my pulse drowning out everything else. Riven Knox. His name rings in my head like a curse I can't shake. The idea of 3 Knox brothers barely registers. Because the one who haunts me is the nightmare, the callous, unsympathetic asshole who seems to own every thought I can't stop from spiraling. My fists clench as I deflect Luriel's next blow, but even then my mind drifts. His eyes flash in my memory. Those fucking eyes. Focus, Syerin. Luriel's voice cuts through, but it feels distant. I can't stop picturing him, remembering every little detail about him. That damn smirk, half contempt, half amusement, like he knew he had the power to wreck me and he enjoyed it. Riven Knox isn't worth losing your balance over, Luriel grunts as we clash again, her blade sliding against mine. You don't get your head in the game, you'll be knocked out in the last round. Don't let him get you wrecked or killed. But he's already wrecked me, hasn't he? I grit my teeth and shake my head, trying to shove Riven Knox and his infuriating smirk out of my mind. He's already under my skin, and if I let him distract me any longer, Luriel's right, I'll end up dead before I even make it to the final round. I don't get distracted by boys, I tell myself. You are the marker feared by both Sire and Fail alike. You have all the power in the world, yet you're losing it to him. Get yourself together. Luriel lunges again, quick and precise, but this time I'm ready. I dodge her strike and step into her space, twisting her wrist just enough to disarm her without hurting her. The blade clatters to the ground. I follow through with a sharp kick to her legs, sending her sprawling. Before she can recover, I press the tip of my blade lightly against her throat. Focused enough for you? I ask, breathing hard, a small smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Luriel glares up at me, but there's a glint of approval in her eyes. Better, she admits, pushing my blade aside as I offer her a hand. But don't think for a second that he won't use that distraction against you. Before I can respond, the heavy sound of boots echoes through the training hall. The large metal doors get pushed open, and two sentinels dressed in black armor stride in, their gazes sweeping over the remaining contestants. One of them gestures toward me and another contestant, a wiry, sharp-eyed man with a cruel smile. You two, the guard barks. The final round of the selection. Now. My lips part in a small gasp. We're the first two contestants up. I look at Luriel, slight worry, yet you've 100% got this look in her eyes. I give her a small smile, before sheathing my daggers, but a sharp tug on my wrist has me facing her again. I take in her brunette hair and her dark eyes, a warm face that I'm happy I'm accustomed to. I know we're only just becoming friends, but it would be good if we could enter the trials together. I mean, if you want to be friends. Friends are dangerous. I don't have friends. The more I care about someone, the more I'm likely to end up destroying myself. The same thing happened with Kaylee, but looking at Luriel, she's just like me. Friends are never your weakness, little wraith. They are your strength. I'd like that. I smile, shooting her a toothy grin. Don't get yourself killed. Don't hold yourself back this time. You keep holding back, other people will think you're weak and they will weed you out first. Show them who and what you are, Syerin Cayde. This time they laid us into a different arena. It's not open, but a closed space with Fail and Zyre spectators taking up the seats. This is it, the final moment. The arena is an unforgiving circle of cracked stone, surrounded by jagged pillars that reach into the sky. The ground beneath my boots is uneven, and a metallic tang. That is the scent of no other than blood fills my nostrils. Torches line the perimeter, their flames dancing wildly while the roof opens up to the gray sky. I stand in the center of the ring, gripping the hilt of my blade so tightly my knuckles ache. The weapon feels heavier than usual. My opponent is across from me, shifting with barely contained energy, almost like he can't wait to get his hands on me so he can strangle me to death. His smile stretches wider as he swings his blade in lazy arcs, taunting me, testing me. You know only one of us can win. I've been trained for a moment like this, and I won't let some bitch take away what's mine. He sneers, and a tiny drop of fear weeds itself through me. What's yours? You're making a bold assumption. How do you know I won't kill you? I say back, circling him. Because I'll kill you. He snarls. All talk, no show, just a regular fail asshole. Breathe, Syerin. But his words don't reach me. Not entirely. The voice in my head drowns out the noise around me. A low, insistent whisper that coils around my thoughts like smoke. Do you feel it, Marker? The blood in the air, the taste of fear. This is where you belong. I grit my teeth, trying to shove the voice away, but it only grows louder, more insistent. Do not fight it, Syerin. I have chosen you for a reason. Let it guide you. Let me guide you. I close my eyes for the briefest of moments, trying to find balance. The voice of the god echoes louder, wrapping around me like a second skin. It's intoxicating, the power it promises. Ruthless, merciless, and sharp as the edge of my blade. The fail bastard across the arena shifts again, his sneer dripping with arrogance. He doesn't see me, not truly. To him, I'm just another obstacle to crush beneath his boots. But he has no idea. He doesn't know what lurks within me, the thing I keep shackled. Let go, the voice urges. You were made for this. I open my eyes, and the world feels sharper, more alive. The uneven stone beneath me, the flickering torch light casting shadows that seem to writhe, the hum of the crowd, everything hums with a strange energy. My grip on the blade steadies. The ache in my knuckles vanishes. Show them who and what you are, Syerin Cayde. Ready. The announcer's voice booms, cutting through my thoughts. The crowd roars, a wave of noise crashing over me. I don't look at them. My focus is singular, locked onto the fail man. He smirks, rolling his shoulders and stepping forward. His blade catches the torchlight, but his eyes gleam with something darker, bloodlust. Begin. He moves first, fast, a blur of motion. His blade arcs toward me, a strike aimed to end me quickly. But I'm faster. I sidestep, the sharp edge whistling past me as I pivot and counter. My dagger flashes out, slicing across his forearm. He hisses, recoiling, but I don't give him time to recover. I lunge, forcing him to stumble back. The goddess voice whispers in approval. Yes, do not hesitate, make him bleed. The fail regains his footing and snarls, his strikes coming in quick succession. Steel clashes against steel, the sound ringing out in the cold arena. He's good, better than I expected, but he's not good enough. His moves are predictable, his anger making him sloppy. I parry each blow with precision, the rhythm of the fight thrumming through me like a song. He is nothing, she purrs. End him. He overextends his arm, his blade coming down in a desperate arc. I step into him, my dagger flashing up to meet his throat. His eyes widen in shock, and for a moment, time seems to freeze. The crowd's roar dims, and all I can hear is the sound of his ragged breath and the steady thrum of my pulse. Don't, Syerin, don't kill him. Kill him. I lose control. My blade slices cleanly across his neck, crimson spilling out in a violent spray. He crumples to his knees, his hands clawing at the wound as his life drains away. His gaze meets mine, wild and terrified before it goes glassy. The crowd erupts, their cheers deafening. But I don't hear them. My chest rises and falls with each ragged breath, my heart pounding as I look down at my opponent's lifeless body. There's no satisfaction, only a cold, numbing finality. Beautiful, she murmurs. Do you see now? This is your destiny. This is not my destiny. I am not a killer. You keep telling yourself that, Marker. But look at the body lying dead in front of you. I suck in a breath as the blood reaches my feet, my face splashed with droplets of red. I lift my gaze, scanning the arena until I find him. Riven Knox. He stands at the edge of the arena, his arms crossed, a small smile tilting the corners of his mouth. His piercing aqua eyes lock onto mine, and for a moment the chaos fades. It's just us, the air between us charged and electric. A challenge burns in my eyes as I hold his gaze, daring him to look away first. His lips twitch, almost imperceptibly, as if he's fighting back a smirk. But he doesn't look away. He meets my challenge head-on, his intensity matching mine. His eyes briefly flicker to the man's dead body before looking back at me, eyebrow raised like he's almost proud. The mark on my back flares again, but this time it feels different. Not pain, but power. I turn away, sheathing my blade, and walk out of the arena without sparing the body another glance. My steps are steady, purposeful, but my mind is anything but. Because as much as I hate it, I can still feel Riven's gaze burning into my back, and the mark throbbing in response. The goddess' voice is softer now, almost smug. He sees you, and he knows you are more than they could ever fathom. I'm actually going insane. I can't take my eyes off her as she moves with that lethality. My lips perk up when her eyes meet mine, like she's saying this time I didn't hold back. And fuck, I saw that. The way she moved, the way she teases her opponent, making him think that she's just a weak little thing, and at that last moment she strikes, her blade cutting his throat open, clean. I don't think I've ever been this turned on. I bite back a groan, my cock hardening as her eyes narrow at me, shifting between the spectators when the counselor tells her she's now a competitor in the trials. Don't let yourself care, Blood Prince. She's going to die in the trials, you already know that. That's the thing, I don't. Because while she's disadvantaged with having no abilities, her skill makes up for it. Syerin spent their entire lives training their powers more than they do their skill. If she gets close, she can take anyone down. But despite how my body is reacting to her, my brain is thinking a completely different thing. The experiments, the rebels. If they succeed, there will be nothing left to win. Protect her. 2 words, and I know I'm fucked. Have you gotten in contact with Mother yet? I ask Lucy. We're on the ride back to Ironspire, the carriage bobbing with the uneven road. Lucian leans back in his seat, arms crossed, his boots propped up on the edge of the opposite bench. She's been briefed, he says, not looking at me. She'll be here by the time we arrive back at the castle. I suck in a breath. My mother and I have never been on good terms. Ironspire was my father's place. A kingdom ruled by warmth and kindness but fierceness when needed. But my mother was the leader of Dracarys, also the name of my home. A bloodthirsty, inhumane, cold-blooded place. Where my father was warm, she was cold. She ruled out of her people's fear, known for her ruthlessness. After my mother had me, she had Lucy and Cale in Ironspire not long after, but she always had her sights set on me. She took me back to Dracarys against my father's decision and trained me. Made me the one who would later bear the title of the Blood Heir. But that's all she's ever been. A trainer, an instructor, never a mother. I was like metal that needed to be melded right to become a weapon. After a while, when my brothers were old enough, her family waged a war on Ironspire. Turns out that my father was just a fail that they used to get what they wanted. My mother begged them not to, and their only condition was that she return back to Dracarys. Since then, communication with her has been completely cut off right up until now. Lucian shifts in his seat, watching me like he's waiting for me to snap. "You sure this is a good idea?" he asks, his tone carrying that edge he always uses when he doubts me. I don't answer immediately. Instead, I look out the window at the barren landscape. Dracarys spins around in my thoughts, a cold, jagged memory. My mother's realm is nothing like the fertile fields of Ironspire. It's a kingdom of stone and shadows, where survival isn't just a matter of strength, it's a matter of cunning. It doesn't matter if it's a good idea, I finally say. It's the only one we've got, and besides, the council insists on her involvement in the trials. We might as well bring her in on what's going on with the other states. I see his muscles tense from the corner of my eyes, his fists clenched. None of my brothers have a good relationship with her, which is why they treat her with decency and respect. But me, on the other hand, if she calls for it, I will gladly punch her in the face. The sky's beginning to get darker, the once blue skies fading into a beautiful twilight purple. Blue eyes. The stars dust across the midnight expanse like freckles. Freckles. Deep red hair fills my vision, and I close my eyes, trying to erase that haunting face from my memories. Lucian finally breaks the silence, his voice tight. "You know she's going to try to manipulate you. She always does. And this time she'll have leverage. The council, the trials, she'll find a way to make it all about her power." I chuckle, though there's no humor in it. Let her try. She's not the only one who's changed over the years. Oh, she hasn't just changed, Riven. She's become worse. His words hang heavy in the air. Worse. As if she could be anything but the monster she's always been. But I know what he means. My mother has always been ruthless, but rumors from Dracarys whisper of cruelty even I didn't think she was capable of. "I don't care what she's become," I say, my voice sharper than I intend. "I only care about keeping Ironspire standing. If that means using her, then so be it." Lucian shakes his head, his expression darkening. "You sound just like her." "Good," I snap. "Maybe that's exactly what we need right now." He doesn't respond, his gaze shifting to the window. The fading light casts shadows across his face, and for a moment he looks like a stranger. And then my head whips to the side, taking in what I see through the window. Lucian, what though I get ready to pounce on him, but he pushes my shoulders, trying to press himself as tight as he can against the carriage. "Listen," he says, panicked, holding his hands up into his face. "It was the only way she would agree. She said she wanted to see you." The carriage jolts as the road grows rougher, the barren lands of Dracarys stretching before us. The towering obsidian spires of the capital are just visible on the horizon, their jagged peaks clawing at the sky like the fangs of some great beast. Dracarys isn't just a kingdom. It's a living, breathing thing, hungry and unyielding. And it's been waiting for me. And right now, my brother has decided it is a good idea to make some time for a little adventure. I grit my teeth together. Lucien, you fucking bastard. His face pales as I shove him back against the wall of the carriage, my fists clutching the collar of his jacket. The idiot has some nerve pulling this without telling me first. She said it was the only way, Lucien says again, his voice tight but calm, like he's bracing for the storm. Oh, I'm sure she did. My voice is a low growl, and you just believed her. I mean, what did you want me to do? Go against the wishes of the great Queen Evelora. She wanted to see her son, Riv. Maybe it's not such a bad idea. Maybe it would soften her up a little bit. At this point, everything turns red. Soften her up. You have no fucking idea what I went through at Dracarys because of her. She will never be my mother, and I will never be a son to her. There is no softening her up. Lucien's jaw tightens, but he doesn't push back. He knows better. He always knows when I'm this close to breaking. He straightens his jacket, smoothing the creases with deliberate care. I didn't say it was right, he mutters. I said it was the only way. You think I enjoy groveling at her feet for scraps of favor. She's a viper, Riven, but even vipers have uses. Uses, I spit, my voice venomous. She doesn't see people, Lucy. She sees tools, weapons, pawns. You think she's going to help us. She's already thinking 3 steps ahead, planning how to twist this to her advantage. Maybe his voice softens, but his gaze hardens. But you're forgetting something. You're her weapon, Riven, her greatest creation. If anyone can outmaneuver her, it's you. The words sting more than they should. Her greatest creation. Is that what I am? A blood-soaked masterpiece forged in her image. The idea turns my stomach, but I can't deny its truth. She made me into what I am. And now I'll use every lesson she forced on me to keep her from sinking her claws into Ironspire. The carriage jolts again, and the silhouette of Dracarys grows larger, consuming the horizon. Lucien leans forward, his elbows resting on his knees. Look, he says, his tone cautious, almost pleading. I get it. You hate her. Hell, I hate her too. But we're walking into her territory now. You can't afford to lose your head. Not here. I won't lose my head, I snarl. But don't expect me to play nice either. Lucien smirks, a flicker of amusement breaking through his tension. Wouldn't dream of it, brother. The carriage slows, the sound of hooves muffled against the gravel road. The gates of Dracarys fades into view, massive and sharp, carved from the same obsidian that forms the spires. They're etched with designs, symbols of power, dominance, and blood, the crest of my mother's lineage. The sentinels stationed at the gates are like statues, their armor black and crimson, their faces hidden behind visors. They don't move as we approach, but I can feel their eyes on us, cold and unrelenting. The carriage halts and the door creaks open. A servant bows low, their voice trembling as they speak. Prince Riven, Prince Lucien, the Queen is expecting you. As we cross the threshold, the gates groan shut behind us, sealing us inside. The kingdom of shadows swallows us whole, and for the first time in years I feel it, the feeling of home. And that feeling terrifies me more than ever because this place is anything but home. The scent of iron and ash clings to everything, and the cold creeps under my skin like it knows my name. Lucien walks beside me, his usual swagger dimmed but not entirely gone. I can feel his unease in the way his fingers twitch, ready to grab the hilt of his sword at a moment's notice. The grand hall looms before us, its doors impossibly tall and carved with scenes of battles, betrayals, and bloodshed. My mother's victories, immortalized in stone. The doors swing open with a slow groan, revealing the throne room, a vast, cavernous space bathed in flickering red light. It's designed to intimidate, to make you feel small. And it's the place where all the scars have come from. A memory, a punishment. Never take anything for granted. My boots echo against the polished floors as we step inside. The red light flickers from the flames held in braziers that line the hall, their shadows dancing across the walls like phantoms. At the far end of the room, my eyes lock onto a figure. And there she is. My mother's presence fills the room, her gaze as sharp and cutting as the daggers she used to train me with. Her throne is carved from black stone, accented with crimson veins that gleam in the flickering light. It towers over her, but somehow she dwarfs it. Her posture is regal, commanding. The years haven't dulled her beauty, though it's a beauty as cold and cruel as the kingdom she rules. The crimson fabric of her gown pools around her like blood, and the crown atop her head glints with the same deadly sharpness as her eyes. "My sons," she says, her voice smooth and edged like a blade. "How kind of you to come." Her words are silk over steel. My jaw tightens, and I force myself to take a breath before stepping forward. Lucien hesitates for a split second, then follows. "Mother," I say, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. My voice is flat, deliberately void of any warmth. I bow, the barest tilt of my head, just enough to be respectful, but no more. Lucien mirrors the gesture, though his discomfort is evident in every line of his body. The queen rises from her throne. Her gaze sweeps over us, lingering on me for a heartbeat longer than necessary. The corners of her lips curl into something that could almost be called a smile, if it weren't so cold. "Riven," she starts, "it's been too long. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten me." "Hard to forget the unforgettable," I reply, my tone dry and her smile sharpens. She steps down from the throne, the hem of her gown whispering against the floor like a serpent slithering through the shadows. As she approaches, her eyes flick to Lucien, her expression softening, slightly. "Lucien," she says, her tone warmer, always the dutiful one. "Unlike your brother." Her gaze snaps back to me, and the ice in her eyes could freeze fire. But then, Riven has always been special. "Cut the bullshit, Mother. What do you want?" Lucien lips purse into a tight line. "Could you be any less respectful to the fucking queen of Dracarys, brother?" He whispers under his breath as she comes closer. "I could," he groans, rolling his eyes. "More like what you want." Her gaze sweeps over me. eyes flickering with something I'm scared to call pride. You've done well living up to your title. Careful, do not anger the queen, prince. We asked for your help, and your condition was that I come here. Since your condition has been fulfilled, will you now agree to? I try to form the words, but I choke on them. Her eyebrow raises. Stop being dramatic. I only requested your mere presence because I just wanted to see my son. I knew you wouldn't come of your one volition anyway. I'll be at Ironspire a week before the trials start. That leaves us with a month and a bit before we'll be graced with her. But even I know she would rather die than come to Ironspire. Despite all her hatred towards my father's kingdom, she's never been able to hide her love for him. She just masks it all under her title. Fine, I say, the word clipped. Then I suppose we'll see you at Ironspire. Her lips curve into that serpent's smile again, but she doesn't respond. Instead, she reaches out, her fingers brushing against my cheek. I don't flinch, don't give her the satisfaction. Until then, my son, she says, her voice soft and filled with something I refuse to name. Do try not to disappoint me. Without waiting for a reply, she turns, her gown swirling around her as black smoke fills my vision and she disappears. I glance at Lucien, his jaw set tight, his eyes avoiding mine. Let's go, I mutter, already turning on my heel. He follows, his footsteps echoing against the cold stone floor as we leave the hall. The carriage ride back is almost suffocating, the tension between me and my brother, thick and unspoken. Lucien doesn't try to justify his actions again, and I don't press him. My mind is already spinning, caught in a web of the queen's making. Her words, her gaze, they cut deeper than I want to admit. But still, she's my mother. By the time we're halfway back to Ironspire and Dracoris far behind us, I finally break the silence. She'll betray us. Lucien looks at me, his expression unreadable. Maybe, but if she does, we'll be ready. I let out a bitter laugh, leaning back against the seat. You're awfully optimistic for someone who just threw me into a snake pit. Call it faith, he says, a wry smile tugging at his lips. Not in her, in you. I don't answer, staring out at the barren landscape as the twilight deepens into night. Faith, it's a fragile, dangerous thing. As the light of the moon begins to pierce the darkness, I close my eyes, the memory of a girl with fiery hair and deadly grace flashing behind my eyelids. My mother might be the viper in my path, but she's not the only one I have to keep in check. The trials are still waiting ahead, and with them, every threat I've been trying to hold at bay. And in the center of it all, there's her, the girl who doesn't belong here, the girl I can't seem to stop watching. Protect her. The thought rises unbidden. It's not the fact that I want to, it's the fact that I have to. Riv, Lucien says quietly, snapping me out of my thoughts. We'll get through this, one way or another. I nod, but the weight in my chest doesn't lift. Because I know one thing for certain, nothing about what's coming will leave us unscathed. I swear I was going to shit myself. I haven't seen my mother in a while, and now that I have, I don't think I want to see her ever again. I will never know how my brother has the courage to talk to her. Like, is he not afraid she's going to dice him up, like she's done to other people. His abilities, his power comes from her. We arrived at Ironspire a few hours ago. We let Father know that she's agreed to help us, and he was relieved, but utterly pissed that we'd gone to Dracarys. They didn't part on good terms and haven't talked in years, so I know Mother's presence is going to have a toll on him. But there's no denying that we need her. I only pray she doesn't mess up the trials. I'm too lost in my thoughts until I collide with someone. Jesus fucking Christ. The person lets out a long string of cuss words until she stares back up at me. My earlier tension fades away just like that, a lazy smile spreading across my features. Someone's on edge. I see you've made it into the trials. Her red lips purse into a line, her blue eyes narrowing. I wish I didn't, she mumbles. Your entire kind are sadistic assholes, she snarls. I bite back a laugh as her features twist into one of disgust. Well, welcome to Ironspire, I say, spreading my arms wide as if presenting her with the grandest of nightmares. The heart of sadistic assholery. Glad you could join us. She doesn't find it funny. Her glare sharpens, her knuckles tightening around the hilt of the dagger at her waist. If it were up to me, I'd be 1,000 leagues from this cursed place. Yet here you are, I counter smoothly. Fate's funny like that. It likes to drag unwilling participants into the fray. I think you'll fit right in. Her jaw tightens, the corner of her mouth twitching as if she's considering whether to spit another insult or simply walk away. Instead, she settles on the former. You must think you're charming, don't you? She sneers, tilting her head slightly, eyes glinting like steel. I know I am, I reply easily, leaning against the cold stone wall of the corridor. Though I'll admit, you're making me work for it. I'll take that as a challenge. She lets out a sharp breath that's halfway between a scoff and a laugh. You're insufferable. And you're still talking to me. I grin, and for the first time, a flicker of something soft passes over her expression. Not enough to disarm her, but enough for me to catch it. Her gaze shifts past me, scanning the shadows that seem to press in closer the deeper into Ironspire we go. You really think anyone survives this place? She mutters, almost to herself. This trial, or is it just another way for your kind to weed out the rest of us? The shift in her tone sobers me. People survive, I say, my voice quieter now. But surviving doesn't mean coming out the same. Her eyes snap back to mine, searching my face as if she's trying to decide whether I'm lying. You speak like you've done this before. I can almost feel my smile fade away, and I can tell by the shock in her eyes. She sees it too. Let's just say I know someone who's been through a lot worse than the trials. Your brother, she asks softly as I nod. Riven wasn't just given his title, he was forged into it. And the methods used to make him whatever he is wasn't very. I click my tongue against the roof of my mouth. Humane. The word hangs in the air. He was broken down until there was nothing left but steel and blood. And when they were done, they told him to wear the crown like it was a reward. Her expression hardens, but I don't miss the flicker of unease in her eyes. And you, she asks cautiously, did they try to forge you too? I laugh, though there's no humor in it. Oh, they tried. But I'm not Riven. I didn't bend the way they wanted me to, so they left me to carve out my own place. Turns out, being an insufferable bastard has its advantages. She doesn't laugh, and I can feel her gaze cutting into me like a blade. I think, you should get going. Get settled in. Training starts tomorrow, and you want to get a good night's sleep. I gesture towards the door of her room. She takes the hint and nods her head, and I wait until she's inside safely before I leave. Smooth brother. I freeze mid-step when I hear Riven's voice. I spin around on my heel, the look in his eyes telling me that if I don't run to the toilet, I'm going to fucking shit myself. Jealous much, I counter. What happened to her being off limits? He twirls his favorite dagger between his fingers. It was a friendly conversation. I groan, I bumped into her. What do you want, Riv? A third figure steps into the light, and I recognize my younger brother. He's not dressed in his white attire, but black armor like ours on his frame. Thought you might want to know that Mother is here. Why the fuck is she here? I growl. We saw her like a few hours ago. She's not due here until a month later. Riven smirks, his dagger catching the light as it twirls effortlessly between his fingers. You know she doesn't operate on anyone else's schedule. She said she'll come a month later, she'll come a month earlier. She's waiting for us in the war room. My gaze shifts to Cale, who looks surprisingly calm given the circumstances. And you? Did you get her to play nice, or was there bloodshed? She didn't kill me, so that's a start, he replies dryly, crossing his arms. The council made her the head of the trials. Now that stops me dead in my tracks. More like she threatened to decapitate them all if she didn't. Riven snorts. My stomach twists into knots as Cale's words sink in. The head of the trials. I echo, my voice sharp enough to cut through stone. You've got to be kidding me. Do I look like I'm joking? Cale retorts, Mother's in charge now. If she wasn't terrifying enough as a casual observer, she's going to be lovely with absolute authority. Riven chuckles darkly, the sound low and mirthless. This is going to be a disaster. She's got no patience for weakness, and most of these recruits can't even hold their own in a basic sparring match. She's going to tear them apart. Riven rakes a hand through his hair, and although he's frustrated, I can already tell he knew this was coming. She won't just tear them apart, I mutter, raking a hand through my hair. She'll enjoy it. Riven leans against the cold stone wall, his smirk returning. At least it'll be entertaining. Entertaining? I glare at him, my frustration bubbling over. This isn't some spectacle for her amusement. These trials decide the future of. I know exactly what's at stake. Riven interrupts, his voice hardening. But she's here now, and we can't change that. So unless you've got a brilliant plan to convince the council to reverse their decision. They didn't decide anything, Cale interjects, his tone dry. She decided for them. They just didn't want to lose their heads over it. Typical, I mutter under my breath. And Father, does he know? Cale nods, his expression grim. He knows. He didn't look thrilled, but he didn't exactly seem surprised either. Mother wants to meet us in the war room. Perfect. I sigh, pinching the bridge of my nose. Let's go, then. The sooner we get this over with, the better. As we make our way to the war room, the tension between us feels like a tangible weight. The corridors of Ironspire are quiet, the flickering torchlight casting long, distorted shadows on the stone walls. It's the kind of silence that makes you feel like you're being watched, a stillness that only grows heavier the closer we get. When we reach the doors to the war room, Cale hesitates, his hand hovering over the iron handle. "You sure you're ready for this?" he asks, his voice low, more to Riven than me. "No," he says, "but when has that ever stopped me?" Cale pushes the door open, and the warmth of the hearth greets us, along with the chilling presence of the woman standing at the head of the room that we so love dearly. Mother doesn't turn as we enter, her back to us as she studies the map sprawled across the table. The light from the fire dances along the embroidery of her crimson robes, making it look as though flames are alive beneath the fabric. "You're late." "We weren't expecting you," I reply evenly, stepping forward. "You said a month." "And yet here I am," she says, turning to face us, her gaze as piercing as ever. "Do try to keep up." Riven leans casually against the wall, twirling his dagger with a smirk. "So, what's the plan, Mother? Are you here to whip the recruits into shape, or just to cull the weak?" Her lips curve into a faint smile, one that doesn't reach her eyes. Perhaps both. But I'm here for one reason above all else, to ensure that our family maintains its place at the top. No more mistakes. No more second chances. Staying at the top, I say, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. Is that what this is about? Claiming power no matter the cost? She steps closer to me, her voice dropping to a whisper that feels louder than a shout. "Power is never without cost, my son. The question is whether you're willing to pay it. Are you?" For a moment, I'm tempted to meet her challenge head-on, to give her the defiance she seems to crave. But instead, I step back, forcing my expression into something unreadable because I know I'm not Riven. "We'll see," I say simply. She turns back to the map, her focus already shifting. "The trials begin tomorrow at dawn. Don't disappoint me," those words again. "Don't disappoint me." Does she really think that low of us? As we leave the war room, I can't shake the feeling that we've just been thrown into a storm we're barely prepared for. Mother's presence has always been a force of nature, but now, with her at the helm of the trials, makes me want to find someone with the magic ability to transform me into a bird so I can fly away and not have a care in the world. Oh, Verk, if only you gave me wings. Riven's voice breaks through my thoughts. "Well, that went better than expected." I shoot him a glare. If that's your idea of better, I'd hate to see worse. Cale chuckles, though there's no humor in it. "Get some rest, brother. Tomorrow's going to be hell." As if it wasn't already. Morning breaks through the curtains. I actually slept better than I imagined. Or it could just be the doing of the giant four-poster bed I'm lying on, along with those damn fluffy pillows. Might have just discovered my greatest weakness. The clock on the wall says 6 a.m., which means I have just under 3 hours to get ready. I let out a groan, throwing an arm over my face as reality sinks in. Day 1 of training. My stomach twists, a combination of nerves and dread curling like a snake in my gut. It's not just about survival. It's about making it through without revealing the fucking cursed mark on my back. This is not a curse, but a gift. You have been chosen for a reason. So you keep reminding me. I respond. I force myself out of bed, my feet hitting the cool stone floor. The room is surprisingly warm, though the iron walls and high ceilings give it a cold, unwelcoming feel. A small basin of water waits by the far wall, and I splash my face, the chill waking me up instantly. Time to face the music, I mutter to myself, grabbing the neatly folded clothes left on the bench near the window. A simple black tunic and leather pants, sturdy boots, and a cloak lined with fur. Functional. Nothing flashy, which suits me just fine. I'm half-dressed when the doors to my room burst open, and out of habit I throw my dagger, the blade digging into the wood besides the doorframe. Chips fly out, and my alertness disappears when I hear a familiar voice. So you made it. Lurel Corvin looks back at me, pulling my blade out before she throws it to me. Her hair is tied into a crown on the top of her head, black armor like mine, clinging to her body. We've been told that we aren't allowed to meet each other until the intro meeting that's supposed to take place this morning. A small smile forms on my lips. It's early and no one's exactly out of their rooms yet. Thought I might set out on a little journey to find you. Had no doubt that you wouldn't be here. She walks around, her fingers grazing the dressing table as she pulls out the chair, slumping down. What happened when we have to face each other? I almost drop my comb. I guess I forgot to think about that one tiny detail. I don't look at her right away. Instead, I stare at the reflection in the small, polished shard of glass on the wall, at the dark circles under my eyes, the sharp line of my jaw, and the tension that seems permanently etched into my features. We don't have to think about that right now, I say finally, forcing my voice to stay even. There's a long way to go before it comes to that. Her lips press into a thin line, and she crosses her arms. You're avoiding the question. Maybe I am. I turn to face her, leaning against the cold stone wall. But what good does it do to dwell on something that might not even happen? There are plenty of other contenders here who'll try to kill us before we get the chance to even think about it. You're right, she sighs, standing up. Her eyes flick to the clock and a sly grin spreads across her face. What do you say to a little adventure? And that has me grinning right back. Once dressed, I strap my daggers to my sides and check my reflection in the mirror hanging by the door. I brush my hair back, tying it into a braid, and shove the doubts into the back of my mind. Focus. That's the only way I'll make it through this. Lurel waits by the door, tapping her foot impatiently. You look ready to conquer kingdoms, she jokes. Conquering kingdoms isn't on today's agenda. I reply as I adjust the straps on my daggers. Surviving bloodthirsty contenders, however. Semantics. Lurel smirks and pulls the door open, peering down the hallway. Come on, before someone decides to check on us. I'd rather not have to explain why we're wandering around before the meeting. The hallway is lit up brightly with sunlight pouring in everywhere. The walls are lined with old, flickering sconces, no flames lit yet, however. I always wonder how many people it takes to light up all of them. The place is full of them. Lurael and I walk side by side, our boots echoing softly against the stone floor. So I start, breaking the quiet. Where exactly are we going? Nowhere specific. Lurael glances over her shoulder before continuing. Just thought we could familiarize ourselves with the layout. You know, in case things get messy. Messy, a diplomatic way of saying bloody, chaotic, and lethal. I nod, appreciating the practicality. Good idea. The less I get lost, the better. We pass a set of heavy double doors, the sound of faint voices filtering through. My body tenses instinctively, but Lurael shakes her head. Sentinels. They won't bother us if we don't give them a reason. We move on, winding through corridors that all look frustratingly similar. It's hard to tell whether it's intentional or just the natural design of this ancient place, but the maze-like structure puts me on edge. Eventually, we find ourselves in what looks like a small training hall. The room is bare except for a few wooden dummies and racks of weapons lining the walls. This could be useful, Lurael says, stepping inside. She runs her fingers over the edge of a sword resting in its rack, assuming they let us train outside the official sessions. I follow her in, my eyes scanning the space. It's smaller than I expected, but the sight of the weapons sets something in me at ease. Familiar, predictable. A blade doesn't lie. Lurael picks up a pair of short swords, testing their weight. Care for a quick spar. I raise an eyebrow. You think they won't hear us? She grins, her confidence infectious. Let them. Maybe they'll learn something. I can't help but smirk. Fine, but don't cry when I win. Oh, please. She tosses me a wooden practice dagger and I catch it easily. You're good, Sy, but I'm better. We circle each other, and for a moment, the tension of the day, the trials, and the mark on my back fade into the background. It's just me and her, the familiar rhythm of a fight replacing the noise in my head. She strikes first, quick and precise, but I parry easily, stepping to the side and aiming a counter-strike at her ribs. She twists, narrowly avoiding it, and grins. Not bad. Not bad. I feign offense, lunging at her with a series of quick strikes. She blocks most of them, but one gets through, the tip of my wooden dagger pressing lightly against her side. Point for me, I say, stepping back. Lurael scowls playfully. Beginner's luck. We go again, and this time she manages to knock the dagger from my hand, her own blade stopping just short of my throat. Point for me, she says smugly. We keep at it for a while, trading points and banter until we're both breathing hard, sweat dampening our foreheads. It's not just practice, it's a release. A moment to feel alive in a place designed to kill us. Finally, we call it a draw and collapse onto the cool stone floor, laughing softly. For a brief, fleeting moment, it feels like old times. Before the trials, before the mark, before the weight of survival hung over us like a guillotine. Lurael turns her head to look at me, her expression softer than I've ever seen it. Always. The moment doesn't last. A sharp clang echoes through the halls, a bell deep and resonant. The signal for the meeting. I sit up, my chest tightening. Time to face the others. Luril and I are the last ones to arrive. Every head at the table turns towards us, and my eyes snag onto a familiar pair of teal eyes. He's seated at the far end of the long, rectangular table, looking every bit the dark, brooding warrior he probably wants people to think he is. His dark hair is tousled, falling into his eyes, and midnight black armor clings to his body, showing off his muscles. A faint scar cuts through his left eyebrow, adding an edge to his otherwise flawless features. A sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and full lips that seem eternally set in that infuriating smirk. My eyes travel down the length of his neck, following the curve of that tattoo around his throat. His eyebrows raise, the corners of his lips ticking upwards as he takes me in. Luril nudges me subtly, her hand brushing against my arm. I realize I've been standing in the doorway a second too long, and every other contender in the room has started sizing me up. Great, just the impression I wanted to make. I catch snippets of conversation as I approach, a gruff voice muttering about the odds of survival, a sharp laugh from someone who clearly finds all of this amusing. And then there's him, the teal-eyed prince, leaning back in his chair as if he owns the place. His gaze hasn't left me, and that's enough to make my skin prickle. Luril and I take the two empty seats nearest the end of the table, away from most of the others. It's a strategic choice, close enough to observe but far enough to avoid unwanted attention. Or so I think. Late already. A voice drawls, smooth as silk but laced with mockery. I don't have to look to know it's him. I glance over, arching an eyebrow. Fashionably late, I reply, keeping my tone flat but not without a hint of bite. Thought you'd appreciate the dramatic entrance, Your Highness. A ripple of laughter echoes through the room, but he just smirks, the corner of his mouth twitching upward. Oh, I do love a good show. Let's hope you keep it up during the trials. There is nothing to keep up. A girl's voice pipes up, fail don't belong here. And there it is. Sooner or later I expected them, but it doesn't ease the anger that strikes towards me. And the Syerin do, just because of your flashy powers. You are nothing without them. I could take my dagger and slice it clean across your neck, and you couldn't do jack shit to stop me. I snarl and I bite back a smile as I watch the blue-eyed, blonde slink back down in her seat. I might not belong here, but never forget why we ended up the way we did. The girl, whose name is Isolde, doesn't meet my eyes, her cheeks going red as she sinks into the seat. The wastes were created after the Great War, and it's no secret that the Syerin are responsible for our misery. Isolde shifts in her seat, her fingers twitching at her sides. I notice the subtle movement. She's not just sitting there. And then I feel it all at once. It's like a hand's around my throat, squeezing all the air out of my lungs whilst more air pushes against the sides of my body like it's trying to compact me. I start choking, lifting my hands to my throat and gasping for breath. But it's like the air itself is betraying me, refusing to let me draw in a full breath. My vision blurs as my chest heaves, trying to find any relief, but it's like I'm being crushed from the inside out. She's an air wielder. The blood mark pulses hotter and harder, like a bunch of daggers are being stabbed into my back, like it's telling me to do something. Then I hear a sharp sound, like a whip cutting through the air, and suddenly the pressure vanishes. I'm left gasping, hands clutching the edge of the table as I struggle to steady my breath. It takes a moment for my vision to clear, and when it does, I see him, the blood heir, standing in front of me, his eyes locked on Isolde. Something black whips out from his hands, wrapping around her wrist as he twists them. His shadows, said to come from his mother, Queen Evelora, the Queen of Dracarys. Riven's face is a mask of fury, literal fire burning behind his eyes as he stares at the blonde. You do anything to her again, I'll end you, he says, loud enough for all the competitors to hear. Do you hear me? She jerks her arm, but it's no use. Riven's shadows are like chains, wrapping around her wrist and holding her in place with a vice-like grip. He finally lets her go, and no one says a word as Isolde kicks back her seat, staring at the blood air. Foolish. I lock eyes with Luriel across the table. I can feel my throat starting to swell, but I don't dare say anything as Isolde shouts at Riven. Are you done? Or would you like to keep going? He finally says. Riven, my eyes flick to Lucien. I hadn't even realized he was here. But it's not he who has my attention, it's the brown-haired boy next to him. Cale Knox, the third Knox brother. Enough, a deep feminine voice shouts. Riven's grip loosens, and the shadows retreat, curling back into him like smoke dissolving into the air. Isolde stumbles back into her chair, rubbing her wrist and avoiding his gaze. I whip my head towards the voice and almost freeze when I see the recipient. The trials are not for little petty fights. Sort your shit out together in the ring, but until training begins you are to remain all civility. Is that understood? I drop my gaze, nodding my head as all the others do. I glance at Luriel out of the corner of my eye, and we exchange a mutual question. What is the Queen of Dracarys doing here? I am not your king, but I have been made head of the trials this year. She steps off the throne, looking at all of us individually, and when her eyes meet mine, she freezes. It's a subtle movement, but I don't miss the tension in her muscles or the slight widening of her eyes. She knows something. Which means you all follow me. She continues, snapping her gaze away from mine. My heart pounds, the blood mark tingling like it's alive, sensing her attention. I expect nothing less than discipline, Queen Evelora says. She turns away, packing to the head of the table. The long, fur-lined cloak she wears billows slightly as she walks. The trials are not merely about survival, but about proving you are worthy. To yourselves, to the gods, and to Velthar. The room remains still, each contender rigid in their seat. My mind races. The queen stops in front of Riven, her son. Their resemblance is uncanny, the same fire in their eyes, the same commanding presence. Well handled, she murmurs to him, but loud enough for us to hear. But next time, let them deal with their own disputes. Riven's jaw tightens, though he inclines his head slightly in deference. Of course, Mother. Mother, The word feels strange in this context, almost alien. Riven Knox, who just controlled the shadows like they were an extension of his will, is her son. And now, the head of these trials is not just royalty, but the most dangerous woman in all of Syerin. Now Queen Evlora continues, addressing us all again. We begin with introductions. This is your first opportunity to size up your competition. Do not squander it. Her piercing gaze sweeps over the room. Who will start? A few seconds of silence pass, the tension thick enough to choke on. Then, a tall man at the opposite end of the table stands. His broad shoulders and confident smirk exude arrogance, his hand resting casually on the hilt of his sword. "I'll go first," he announces, his voice deep and self-assured. Varian Drenner, heir to House Drenner. Specialties include strategy, swordsmanship, and taking down arrogant contenders who think they're better than me. His smirk widens as he sits back down, earning a few chuckles from others, and I don't miss the way his tongue darts out, flicking over his bottom lip when his eyes rake me up and down. The movement doesn't go unnoticed by the blood heir either. Guess he found his first enemy. The introductions continue, each contender listing their name, background, and what they bring to the table. There's a mix of nobles, warriors, mercenaries, and wild cards, people whose stories are as varied as their skills. Some boast of their victories in battle, others of their magical abilities or cunning. When it's my turn, I push back my chair and stand, keeping my expression neutral. "Syerin Cayde," I say, my voice steady. "Former mercenary." Specialties include daggers, stealth, and ensuring the competition underestimates me. A few snorts echo through the room, but I ignore them, my gaze locking with Riven's for a brief moment. His lips twitch upward in what might be approval or amusement. I sit back down, and Luril goes next, her introduction short and to the point. She keeps her focus on the queen, avoiding eye contact with the other contenders. Smart. When everyone has spoken, Queen Evlora steps forward again. "Good. You've all had a chance to get a glimpse of your competitors. Remember, these trials are as much about alliances as they are about individual skill. Choose wisely." Her words linger in the air as she walks toward the exit, her steps slow. "Training begins in an hour. I suggest you prepare yourselves. This is not a game, and for most of you, it will end in death." 1 hour. 1 hour to prepare myself for the beginning of the trials, and the first step toward whatever fate the Bloodmark has in store for me. My brothers have to be the stupidest beings to walk this world. There are talks about multiple rebellions being formed, experimentation to artificially produce Syerin abilities to give to Fail, which could potentially destroy Syerin, if not just Velthar, and they're losing their minds over a girl. Almost makes me laugh. Here I am, the youngest brother, but somehow, the most bloody mature. "Kale, has there been any new info?" My eldest brother asks as he jogs up to me. We're all headed towards the training grounds, everyone else out of earshot. "Not yet. Even Mother is baffled," I say, dropping my voice. Riven's gaze flicks to a certain redhead walking in front of us, which causes my eyes to drift to her, or more specifically, the girl beside her. Luril Corvin. Heard that she put up a quick fight against a man twice her size. Impressive. You're lecturing your brothers about girls. Are you sentry? My back pulses, and I grit my teeth together. Shut up. The voice flat out laughs. Metal doors creak open as the competitors come to a standstill. The training ground has always been mine and my brother's safe haven. The place where we'd battle out all our anger, but it also held a bunch of memories. Having these people open to this place feels rather unnerving. The training grounds stretch vast and open, encased by high, jagged stone walls that seem to rise endlessly toward the sky. Overhead, sunlight filters through gaps in the weathered ceiling, giving a somewhat bright end to this otherwise gray place. Rows of weapon racks line the edges, gleaming steel and polished wood organized. This should be fun. The air is alive with murmurs and shuffling feet as the competitors trickle in, their voices low but charged. Some talk in hushed tones, leaning into one another as if afraid to be overheard. Others laugh too loudly, too confident. Weapons are eyed warily, as are the people around them. That one looks like he could snap someone in half. A young woman mutters to her companion, her eyes darting toward a hulking man hefting a mace. Yasin draws. He comes from Osvaris, known to be one of their fiercest soldiers. Size isn't everything, her friend replies, though his tone lacks confidence as his gaze sweeps over the giant. Bet he's slow. A frail man with silver hair leans casually against a rack of spears, twirling a short blade in his fingers. His sharp eyes dart around, taking in every face with a smirk. Think they're splitting us into teams or letting us fend for ourselves. He asks no one in particular. Who cares? Another voice cuts in, Isolde with an accent as sharp as her tone. If you can't handle yourself, you don't belong here. Her eyes dart to Syerin. Across the grounds, the redhead stands quietly, her head slightly tilted as if she's listening to a conversation no one else can hear. Her eyes scan the group with a dispassionate air, but her fingers flex at her sides, betraying a readiness to spring into action. Beside her, Luril Corvin adjusts the strap of her sword belt, her expression calm but watchful. Yeah, well, looks can be deceiving, another mutters. From my place near the entrance, I take it all in, arms crossed and back resting against the cool stone. The competitor's energy is electric, nerves, excitement, fear. I can't help but compare it to the silence that usually defines this space when it's just me and my brothers. This place, our sanctuary, now teems with strangers trampling over our memories. Riven stands beside me. They're too relaxed, he mutters, more to himself than to me. This isn't a sparring match. It won't be for long, I reply, a faint smirk tugging at my lips. Let them talk. Half of them will regret it soon enough. His lips twitch in something resembling amusement before his attention shifts. He doesn't need to say it. I already know where his focus has landed. Syerin. Still think she's a threat. I ask, keeping my tone neutral. She's hiding something, he replies curtly. And if you're not paying attention, you're blind. Before I can respond, the instructor's voice booms through the space, cutting through the chatter like a blade. Line up. The competitors practically trample over each other's feet, forcing themselves into a line or a square. Jason doesn't look impressed. I'm Jason, and I will be your instructor for your training sessions. I see a few of the competitors nod to each other, like the instructor will be guaranteeing their safety. He's from Dracarys, but they don't know that. He'll train to see death, and if someone does lose their life, he'll just say it's unfortunate. Jason stands in the center of the training grounds, arms crossed, his sharp gaze sweeping over the line of competitors. His dark eyes linger on a few individuals, measuring, assessing, judging. It's like he's cataloging their strengths and weaknesses before they've even touched a weapon. A smile plays on his lips, as if he already knows who'll last and who won't. He paces slowly, the sound of his boots echoing. I'll be honest, he begins, his voice deep. Some of you will not walk out of this training alive. That's not a threat, it's a fact. Uneasy shuffling ripples through the line, but no one dares speak. Jason stops abruptly, his eyes narrowing. If you're expecting this to be easy, if you think you'll get through by luck or charm, you might as well walk out now. No one moves. Good, he mutters, though I can tell he'd almost prefer someone challenge him, just to have an excuse to put them in their place. We're starting with the basics. Pair up. You'll spar until I say otherwise. No magic, no Syerin abilities, just raw skill and endurance. I want to see what you're made of without your tricks. Take Corvin, Sentry. Fight your only other weakness apart from your brothers. I spy my eldest brother almost instantly. A pair of blue eyes facing him like she wants to kill him right here and now. Syerin's lips twitch into a snarl as my brother throws her a weapon. Guess that leaves you and me, Corvin. We're the last. I say, flashing a smile as she rolls her eyes. Lurel gives me a quick once-over, her sharp gaze lingering for a second too long. Lucky me, she mutters, clearly unimpressed. Still, she steps forward, gripping the hilt of her sword as if she's itching to get started. I toss her one of the training blades from the nearest rack. She catches it midair, testing its weight with a few fluid swings before stepping into position. No hesitation, no second guessing. I'll admit that's promising. Don't hold back, I say, raising my blade and slipping into a defensive stance. Wouldn't want you to think I'm taking it easy on you. Her smirk is small but sharp. Don't worry, I wasn't planning on it. The moment the words leave her mouth, she lunges. No warning, no unnecessary posturing, she just moves. Her blade arcs toward my side, and I parry it with a quick twist of my wrist, the sound of steel clashing ringing in the air. She doesn't falter, immediately shifting her stance and pressing forward with a series of quick, precise strikes. She's fast, faster than I expected. I step back, dodging a blow aimed at my shoulder, then counter with a sweeping strike aimed at her midsection. She blocks it, her movements smooth and efficient, her strength surprising for someone her size. You're better than I expected, I admit, deflecting another strike. Likewise, she says, but there's no humor in her tone, only focus. Around us, the sounds of sparring matches fill the air. Grunts, the thud of bodies hitting the ground, the occasional sharp cry of pain. I catch a glimpse of Syerin out of the corner of my eye, her blade locked with my brother's as they circle each other like predators. Focus, sentry. The voice in my head cuts through the noise, almost amused. You're supposed to be fighting, not gawking. Luril takes advantage of my distraction, stepping into my space and slamming the hilt of her blade against mine, forcing me to stumble back. I barely recover in time to block her next strike, the force of it sending a jolt up my arm. Getting distracted already, she taunts, her expression unrelenting. Just giving you a chance, I quip, even as I feel the burn in my muscles. I step into her next attack, twisting my blade to lock hers in place before sweeping my leg out to knock her off balance. She stumbles, landing on her ass with a loud thud. She groans, her palms hitting the side of the mat as she chucks her sword away, frustration clouding her features. Point for me, I tease as I hold out my hand and help her up. You're a good fighter. Where did you learn? Luril takes my hand, her grip firm as I pull her to her feet. She brushes off the dust from her pants with quick, irritated swipes, but doesn't bother reaching for her sword yet. Her eyes narrow at me, the fire in them unrelenting despite her loss. Here and there, she replies, her voice sharp with an edge of defensiveness, mostly self-taught. She picks up her blade, testing its balance again. Not all of us had instructors and training grounds to grow up in. Ah, there it is. The bite. I can't help but smirk, and I would say my eyes are playing tricks on me when a little red flushes into her cheeks, but she's too red to call it a trick. She's almost a tomato. Fair enough, I say, twirling my blade lazily. But I'd say you held your own just fine. Next time, though, try not to let frustration trip you up. Luril's lips twitch, caught somewhere between a scowl and a smirk. Next time, maybe I'll aim lower, she retorts, her tone cold but laced with faint humor. See if your legs are as quick as your mouth. My lips twitch. I'm not your enemy, Luril, I say. You're a competitor. Everyone here is my enemy, she retorts.